as of recording this video, I believe it came out today as this was sent to me like at 2 or 3 in the morning, so I'm assuming it was still today. Grace is being discontinued as a project. Grace is a very popular game on Roblox. I have played it before. I played it on stream, so seeing its sudden closure is a bit shocking. There has been some drama around this game regarding Simon and his partner, all of which is covered in today's document that I am going to be reading. This video will not be monetized, as I want this video to be purely archival and informational, so you can watch the entire thing without being interrupted. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into today's document. Regarding Simon, Grace Response Document authored by the Grace Administration. Introduction. On March 30th, 2026, a document was posted onto Twitter discussing the behavior of Simon's partner. I think that's Finney. Finey? I'm going to say Finey. This document was authored by one of Finey's former friends with the expressed intention to bring about reform in Finey. Within the referred document, it discusses how Simon's partner made controversial statements alongside a variety of slurs. The release of the document, paired with the pressures of the impending update, his attempt to confront his partner, and the daunting vision of failure, Simon and other members of Grace would come to present a slew of unfavorable responses that do not fully reflect Grace's stance. This disorganized reaction would lead to even more misunderstandings, creating an environment full of virulent, I think that's how you say that, and outright untrue rumors. In this tab, the team will present reflections of the events regarding Simon. Furthermore, Simon will also leave his personal message. Brief key for this tab. If a statement is italicized, it is a retrospective reflection. If a statement is bolded, it is a key piece of information, an important takeaway. If it is both bolded and italicized, it is an important retrospective reflection. It is in the utmost importance to us that the community remains attentive and understanding as we address everything. Please do not go out of your way to harass anyone. Oh, wow. All right. Retrospective timeline. The Grace Administration will be providing a timeline of what occurred during the unfolding events of the controversy, providing reflections on what we mishandled and how we should have handled it. After recollecting what is left of the Grace Administration, we want to make it clear that the Grace Administration does not align nor support Simon's behavior or actions. We do not condone Simon's usage of racial and ableist slurs, nor do we stand by his dark, edgy, and offensive humor. The Grace team originally formed out of a close friend group, and because of that, it naturally carried over the same strengths and the same shortcomings from a friend group dynamic, as Roblox games do. When Grace first surged into popularity on November 27th, 2024, these shortcomings didn't noticeably affect the game or its community. However, as the community grew, especially around the release of the Spread the Love update, it became increasingly clear that the team needed to take a more active role in the community oversight and acknowledge that Grace was no longer housing a small community. We'd like to formally apologize for not treating this situation as seriously as we should have. We understand that managing a large community requires a high level of competency? My bad. Sorry. Respect and awareness. It was our mistake, and we take full responsibility for not recognizing sooner that the Grace community had grown to a size where these standards needed to be upheld more. We should have addressed this growing issue long before this controversy unfolded by providing stricter staff guidelines and removing staff and moderators who had a history of impulsive behaviors, had limited interaction with the community, or lacked the necessary experience to coordinate with the team. Subject, Simon, April 2nd, 2026. Oh, wow. A long time ago. Not a long time ago. It was like a month. Before the pressure stuff. On March 31st, 2026, former community manager Mochi would accidentally send out a message in an attempt to inform Simon about the growing situation and at random comms bullshit. A publicly viewed channel pinging Simon and providing a screenshot of a post from a user on Twitter expressing their thoughts regarding the recent document on Finey. Finey? Whatever. I'm going to say Finey. I know I already said that, but still, I get like tripped up whenever I see this name. Realizing that they made a mistake, Mochi immediately deleted it from the publicly accessible channel. While the Grace team was resolving the issue of Finey's document, one of the team's main concerns at the time was that the wider community was going to blow this document way out of proportion from its initial scope. However, due to this communication mistake, Mochi had unintentionally brought the document to the wider community's attention, as the users in the server would immediately catch wind of Mochi's deleted message. Mochi would then resend their message through the corrected channel and into the correct space, and additionally communicate with the rest of the Grace team that he had accidentally sent out this message into a public space. By this point, it was already too late, and when some moderators and staff were told of this mistake, they immediately took action to distance themselves from the team. Some moderators and staff believed that this mistake had brought the document into the wider community's attention, and assumed someone within the community was inevitably going to make an unjustified, disproportional response solely through the perspective that the document provided and not through information gathered by consulting the people mentioned in Finey's document. Oh my god. My mouth. Wow. This flawed approach inherently lacked everyone's point of views. Later that day, Simon would state at random comms bullshit that he would eventually respond to the document, and additionally expressed that the situation did not, and should not involve any other parties / staff other than Simon, himself, and Finey. Kozal, another Grace moderator, would jump in immediately and make a statement of his own in random comms bullshit on Simon's statement in an attempt to distance himself from the situation that was brewing. It would seem that he was approaching the situation very, very bluntly, to make his stance extremely clear, calling Finey a dehumanizing and derogatory term. Okay. As people read his statement, it would appear that Kozal confirmed that Finey was a person of poor character. Yeah, that's not a good... You aren't supposed to... Okay. This would set the precedent to make the behavior for people degrading Finey seem acceptable. Yeah, that's... Sorry for the commentary. Yeah, you don't dehumanize them and then okay. Kozal would also unintentionally place himself under the scrutiny of the community by following his follow-up response next to Simon's statement. Other staff would natively follow suit, putting themselves in front of the community scrutiny, forming premature responses and half-hearted defenses in an effort to distance themselves from the brewing controversy. It can be reasonably inferred that Simon was further pressured into making a response as soon as possible, seeing how staff members were putting out their premature responses one after another. Ultimately, these actions would result in a variety of negative consequences, increased chances of doxing, mudslinging. I don't even know what that means. Mudslinging? The use of... Another term. Okay, cool. And lost opportunities, as staff began to rush their uncoordinated premature responses. Simon would forward Finey's response into the channel minutes after most staff members had sent their premature statements in regards to the situation. In the following hour, Simon would bring in 5 other associates to help him review his first response. These affiliates, along with Simon, were tired, emotional at the time, and not in the proper condition to review and provide feedback on his statements. This would lead to Simon claiming in his response that what Finey did was just a coping mechanism. They claimed to be received extremely poorly, and it did not fully reflect what was happening. Simon's poor response was equally met with poor reception. It failed to address what exactly was happening, who was hurt, and what was said. The community was left rightfully confused as to what Simon was attempting to address. As a result, most of the community would reasonably interpret his response as Simon defending Finey's actions. Simon's first response should have been put under further review for oversight concerns, ensuring that the statement would not cause further misunderstandings for the community, and ensuring that his statement properly addressed what had happened. The next day, on April 1st, 2026, Kozal would make his statement to reiterate that he, along with many staff, had no connections with Finey whatsoever. He additionally would express that his motivations for voice acting in general had died because of the harassment that came with being put into the scrutiny of the community. In ensuring that his statement properly addressed what had happened, the next day, on April 1st, 2026, Kozal would make his statement to reiterate that he, along with many staff, had no connections with Finey whatsoever. He additionally would express that his motivations for voice acting in general had died because of the harassment that came with being put into the scrutiny of the community. Roughly half an hour later, Mochi would make a statement on how he felt about Simon's initial response. His feelings about Simon's first response were the same as ours as well. It was poorly made, did very little to address anything, and he too would also take it as a defense for Finey's behavior. Mochi then posted a response to bring attention to the news that staff had been doxxed. The former community manager would then endanger staff, posting a screenshot confirming doxing. Ooh. This action is blatantly negligent and dangerous, possibly inviting more harm to the Grace team. His decisions to send this message should have been communicated with the rest of the Grace team prior to posting so that it could be reviewed for any concerns. Both Mochi and Kozo would Both Mochi and Kozo would pull themselves out of community scrutiny by apologizing for the rash statements that had made thus far by further clarifying their stances that they do not condone Finey's behavior. Mochi additionally stated that he would be unbanning members who were banned for sending reaction emojis and random comms bullshit. We could not discern why users were banned for sending reaction emojis in the channel, and we should not have banned any users for sending reaction emojis in the channel, as it had caused additional backlash from the community. I've been banned for doing that before. Instead, we should have disabled reactions in the channel from the moment the document was brought out to our attention. Simon would wake up to the news of staff being doxxed. This would mark a turning point for the game's future. Because of the news of staff being doxxed, Simon and the Grace staff would no longer be comfortable to develop and manage Grace. Simon would make a statement to express how harassment shouldn't have ever evolved to the extent where staff would get doxxed. It is reasonable to infer that Simon had made that statement while infuriated from the accumulated exhaustion of the controversy and worry for staff, most of whom were close friends of Simon. Hours later, Simon would make his second response. One of the points he addresses in clarifying that his intentions in his initial response wasn't to defend Finey and dismiss her actions. Instead, Simon's intention was to prevent further harassment towards Finey than she already was receiving for 5 months at that time. Prior to the recent document by showing in his first response how the harassment on her at this point wasn't deserved, as mentioned earlier, we saw that this was not conveyed well in his first response due to poor word choices completely overshadowing his response's included takeaway. Simon would also apologize for claiming that her actions were a coping mechanism, for condoning her words and not shutting it down from wherever it happens. He would then elaborate on what he was trying to convey in his first response when he made that claim, expressing that her offensive humor was used to alleviate her stresses by making the people around her who were comfortable with such humor laugh. This helped her feel more distant to the people that harassed her. Simon would go on to address that he was not manipulated by Finey and that in no way is she a manipulator. Simon would then clarify to the community that he wasn't under any influence and state that the reason why he treated the situation the way he did was because he was approaching the situation from the angle that any person should still be treated like a human no matter how big the mistake they make. I agree with this statement. He would go on to express his thoughts on the document on Finey, saying that it had no good intention nor had it helped anyone, and instead the document had only brought harm to Finey and everyone who had any semblance of a connection with her. Simon would have to explain how the author of the document had expressed intentions to help Finey better herself. Doing so would have given the readers the foundation to additionally understand that what the controversy brought upon failed to achieve anything that the author had expressed to accomplish. Furthermore, Simon would bring out the news that Finey had disconnected herself from the internet and would like to be left alone. He would go on to make a request that any Grace-related persons and other developers from other games that collaborated with Grace should also be left alone. Simon would also address the intention of the Grace Project, that it has and always had zero intention to reflect any personal opinions and emotions. Situations like this would not affect the way the Grace Project would be structured. Simon should have included that he made this statement to directly communicate towards the community, explaining that Grace's messages. Explaining that Grace's message was designed to be a standalone, separate from its creators. Because of the controversy, Simon's announcement would be interpreted as insincere, being viewed as more of a scapegoat rather than an attempt at accountability. Finally, we're only 8 pages in, and there's like over 100 pages. Oh, wow. Whoa. Finally, he would apologize that they won't be able to remedy the situation in its entirety. He reiterates that people who do not have an involvement in this drama whatsoever should not be harassed, and hopes that nothing like this ever happens in the future again. In Simon's second response, he does a better job at elaborating on the things he couldn't quite touch up on initially in his first response. However, Simon's second response would also not address what Finney had done wrong and who was hurt. This would further leave the community confused as to why he was still making these responses. The community would reasonably conclude that Simon was attempting to sweep this whole controversy under the rug and simply continue working on other projects without having addressed any mistake at all. Simon would go on to emphasize in random comms bullshit that nobody on the team really felt comfortable working on Grace anymore due to staff endangerment. He states, and I quote, I've still and always have a passion to create, but if it's causing people this, then it isn't worth it. This statement expressed how Simon will still and always have a passion to create, but continuing to specifically work on Grace is not worth causing the people around and close to him this much pain and damage. Coleshall would say their farewells to the community, fully exiting the controversy on a good note, and the Grace but Evil update would come out. Simon would talk with the remaining development team and come out to address to the public that the Grace team planned on eventually open sourcing a simplified version of Grace for the public use. Former community manager Mochi would then follow up shortly after, going out of their way to say that Simon's statement would not be set in stone and that he had a last effort to attempt something. At the time, Mochi had not communicated, nor had he coordinated his plans with the rest of the Grace team. We were all left in the dark as to what he was attempting to communicate to the public. Mochi would draw the attention of the community back after he had just cleared himself from the community scrutiny by making his follow-up statement. Additionally, Mochi would build a community expectation where he built up hope that Grace would continue under some official backing. He lacked the backing and planning provided by the Grace team. Moreover, so many moreovers additionally furthermore. It's a long read. There was no guarantee which would promise a satisfactory result for the community. At the time, we were still unaware of what Mochi was attempting to plan/create, as he failed to communicate with the team. In short, Mochi should have consulted with the Grace team about his plans before following up on Simon's message into the public channel for communication concerns. The former community manager would give permission to a user by the name of Dudamil to make a to make a statement in the publicly viewed channels without having communicated with Simon whatsoever. On the following day of April 2nd, 2026, Simon would wake up and clarify to the public that those messages sent by Dudamil, and I think that's how you say it, and Mochi were not approved to be sent by Simon himself. Simon would apologize for putting out any hopes sparked by Mochi's uncoordinated endeavors and state that there were no plans to continue working on Grace under the current Grace team, nor were there any plans to have Grace continue under another team officially endorsed by the Grace team. Simon would then reaffirm that was originally planned, that Grace will become open-sourced. Failing to meet the community's expectations built by Mochi's uncoordinated communication would bring additional outrage. And due to the fact that it was Simon who had to put down Mochi's plans, it was reasonable to conclude that Simon would be the biggest target of this backlash. Had Mochi communicated with the rest of the Grace team, he would have been briefed about concerns of his message, building up community expectations that may or may not be met. Overall, Mochi had unintentionally set up the precedent to bring unnecessary backlash to what is already a dynamically growing pool of backlash from the community. Oh, man. This is only page 1, by the way. 6 more pages, or 5 more pages. On April 3rd, screenshots from the private Grace development server would be leaked by a staff member and given to a Grace moderator, Scion. Scion? No, I think so. It's Scion, but with an I instead of a Y. Scion would be posted on Twitter. The screenshot shows... Oh, God. The screenshots show Simon saying racial slurs and ableist slurs. Simon can exacerbate the controversy further during the making of this document. More will be elaborated in Sion's section within the document tab regarding staff. Simon would go into the publicly viewable channel and address that he is ashamed of himself and that a giant apology will be sent. While the controversy and general fragmentation of Grass staff's organization began to occur, the remaining members, Phil, Mochi, and a handful of others would begin to author this document in an effort to address every controversy beginning on April 2nd. Mochi would eventually be removed from the project as he proceeded to either intentionally or unintentionally hinder its creation. More will be elaborated in Mochi's section within the document tab regarding staff. A month after Simon's last address, referring to the giant apology, we are now here. Simon's final response. This is his response, I think. His response, official response. There is no point in defending myself. Last month, excluding the Finey situation, was already the most stressed I had been due to the events surrounding my personal life. I was constantly on edge throughout the month, and near the end was at a low and was feeling emotionally numb. Whether the document of Finey was released, I approached its writer with the intention to understand and also clarify. I wouldn't have approached the writer at all because I was not in a clear state. I shouldn't have approached the writer at all because I wasn't in a clear state of mind and trembled in my own fear from the possibility of yet another harassment campaign on Finey. Finey had a month prior to the document disconnected herself from the public in order to work on her real-life mental and physical problems. I was willing to defend Finey as a person who doesn't deserve to be harassed like before, as she is my partner and her well-being is a high priority to me. I do not condone her and my past self's previous actions. Me and Finey shared uneducated opinions of humor and offensive terms as we grew up in similar circumstances, where ignorant people taught us what was right or wrong, and we both were taught to be and ended up being largely disconnected from the general internet opinion. We believed it was a matter of choice whether people got offended or not, and thus didn't use slurs around people who would choose to be offended by them. And when nobody around chose to be offended, believed that slur held no weight. As on the surface, no one was being harmed or discriminated with the use under this context. To me, at the time, it seemed logical. However, now I have been properly educated on the topic and know that this is very incorrect to believe. Under this, we were under the impression that there was nothing wrong with saying slurs in private internet spaces. To add, Grace was a project led by a friend group. We were nothing close to a professional team, and it was made as a passion project. Passion project. Good God, cannot speak. Sorry. My gosh. Dyslexia in its finest moments. Zombie read a document challenge impossible. Oh my gosh. In this friend group that I've been a part of since the age of 11, I am the youngest at 18 and 5 months, and I am the least mature out of everybody in this friend group. I myself can't recall being corrected or educated for saying slurs in private ever in my prior life to this situation, and grew around now lifelong friends who fall under their respective slurs, but were never hurt by them and took no issue with me using them around them. However, this is still no reason to use them. Outside of internet space, I was raised within an almost entirely populated... Oh my gosh. Hold on. As I was saying, I was raised within an almost entirely populated by people of the same race and Eastern European origin. Within this area, slurs were a common part of non-formal speech and often used for shock value in both dark and even just normal humor. The same went for slurs from other languages that were borrowed and used with no thought or knowledge of their deep historical context. As a child, I was often taught slurs as just terms. In the extreme case of black people, I was taught their slurs before being educated on how to properly refer to them. This affected my usage for both the Polish and the English language. With English, slurs were some of the first words I was taught. Similar goes for my extreme humor. Throughout my life, I was encouraged to both learn and use offensive humor as I was raised around people who had used them, had taught me directly, and found them funny, in quotation marks. I cannot say that I have or had intentions that are genuinely racist, ableist, or any of the sort. However, I understand that I have been completely desensitized and had a poor taste of humor, failing to understand what they truly mean. My only touch regarding slurs had been through people desensitized to them and never through proper education, meaning I never learned the historical weight behind my words. I knew that both slurs and offensive humor could have been taken seriously, and now I fully know that they should be. The thought was never fully proven true, as I was surrounded by people who were equally desensitized and didn't take them seriously either. Because of this, I never had a set in stone opinion on slurs and dark humor. I always adjusted my standard to the opinion of the people around me. I never actually found this something I needed to correct, as it never hurt anyone on the surface. But now I understand that I should have tried to educate myself on my own rather than being ignorant to something this offensive. This behavior of mine was very immature and irresponsible. W. Accountability. I tried to defend Finey as a person that didn't deserve this harassment, as I believed the document was dishonest in many of its accusations and ideas and was made with ulterior motives that tried to demonize, dehumanize, and harass her. However, my responses were just awful. Their genuine intentions were overshadowed by poor wording. They were proofread by 5 wrong people for the job. These people have no fault. They are still my responses, and then shown to the wide public. I was never a person for handling reputation-sensitive situations. My premature response was born from a rushing pressure from those around me. While I was miseducated in the matter, struggling to notice how serious it was, and failing to recognize how stressed to the limit I already was. It was my mistake, as I should have taken the time to realize the gravity of what was happening and taken measures to cease the additional chaos caused by Grace's moderation team. The entire situation in doxes had distressed me beyond what I was already feeling before. I felt hopeless to describe my own perspective, as every time I or somebody else tried, the situation felt to me like it was becoming more and more dangerous and unsafe for everybody involved. I was extremely impulsive, whether I saw the situation was garnering more backlash, and within private servers, I wrote delusional statements I myself wouldn't stand behind now. Specifically within our friend group server, which also doubled as a dev server, I used offensive, discriminating terms targeted at the people whose comments regarding the situation, which I found upsetting and dehumanizing. Messages from these private servers would later be leaked into the public alongside my outburst. I deeply apologize to all members of the black community, people with disabilities who were hurt by my words, and the people who were targeted by them. My behavior was completely irrational. I want to make it clear that the relationship between me and Finey is not toxic. We support each other as people. We do not manipulate each other. Our love for each other is genuine. Finey had no control over Grace's development outside of feedback. Entity skins and doodles. Finey had no influence on Fools or any entity's design. I want to keep our private lives and relationship entirely private. I didn't want the public to know I had a partner in the first place. Grace's discontinuation isn't a matter of me choosing Finey over Grace. Instead, our decision to cease Grace's development was that its development had become straining on my personal life and other developers' personal lives months prior. And now, the recent situation surrounding Grace was further affecting people's mental health, putting people in genuine physical danger and in fear of their own safety, enacted through waves of harassment, mockery, cybercrime, psychological abuse, and threats of physical abuse. These reasons left the entire dev team disturbed, and this massively outweighed continuing the game under our names. Nobody on the team feels any comfort putting their name on the game anymore, and everybody wants to move on from it and pursue other projects. The decision to discontinue Grace's development wasn't just mine. It was a group decision, and nobody of Grace's dev team intends on returning. Damn. Oh, man. Water. Drink more water, people. I want to stress that Fool's old design and new design aren't meant to resemble anything racist. I was aware and concerned that the old design for Fool resembled something extremely offensive, so I shared it between some Grass staff, other developers, and others. This was shared with the intention of confirming whether my concern was true. I want to emphasize that my message of me comparing myself to the old design wasn't a genuine confession of having relations to the clan. Rather, it was an offensive joke made in very poor taste, as it fell under the dark humor I had. I said it with the knowledge that other people who had seen the old design would know the context. I shouldn't have humored the extremely offensive topic at all. For that, I very deeply apologize. During the design phase of Fool, we came out with realization that the design resembled the clan's outfit. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, how do you like miss that? I mean, like, okay, sorry. The nearly game-ready asset was changed to no longer resemble it. It was never uploaded to Roblox, and it isn't included in the game's files. It was kept within my work folders for Grace, as I kept things for memory's sake, as I tended to look back at how the game shaped up to be. Despite knowing how offensive that specific design was, I would never let something of that nature onto the game. I apologize for mishandling the entire situation, not treating it with the right respect, and not as seriously as I should have. I handled the situation emotionally and didn't take any time to think about everything surrounding me critically, and for that I deeply apologize. My responses were extremely poor, and I chose the wrong people to proofread them, who have no fault, as these are still my responses, and my responses were rife with my own personal impulsive emotions, flawed perspectives, and didn't reflect my genuine opinion correctly. The responses painted a wrong picture, showed my incompetence surrounding public opinion, drove the situation into further chaos, and everybody was left harmed. I let down the Grace community with my behavior. I was never a pure person. I have always had trouble, and I deeply apologize to those who have felt as if this let down Grace as a whole. Grace's goal was to present good, and I always reviewed myself as a smoker who tells people not to smoke. But from now on, I will try to correct myself as a person privately and publicly. That's a hard fucking bar. I always viewed myself as a smoker who tells people not to smoke. Huh. Good analogy. Sorry. Good analogy. I like this. I like this response. It's very like, you are taking a lot of accountability here. This is what we like to see. This is what we love to see. Accountability. I never considered the Grace community as a product of mine, rather a product of Grace itself. It is Grace's community and not my community work. I never wanted to be an idol. I wanted Grace to be the idol. I never could be. To warn from evil by also taking from my own troubles to tell, while keeping my interpersonal life, my relationship with Finey, and the way I both lived and behaved in private among friends and family as private and never shown on the game itself. That was my goal. If you found Grace to be a good source of comfort, please find the game and its message as the source, as that source, as that's what I've tried for it to be. And I'm not ashamed, and I'm not myself. I am its mere artist, and I'm a stupid one at that. Grace will stay discontinued, and will have its source code become available for everyone to give Grace in the hands of the people. I believe this is for the best, to give it to the community that enjoys it so much. I myself will be working on other projects, however, my actions won't be forgotten. As such, I will set myself as the dirt the people step on. A cog in a machine and hold my name under everyone's. I never viewed myself in high regard. I enjoyed my time working on Grace and will use what I've learned from it in this situation for the future. It's time to let the ride stop. You won't see much of me anymore. Thanks for the memories. Wow. Farewell. God loves you, Simon. Grace's response. This was an amazing response. I mean, he really hit all the points. So, you know. I don't know, maybe others feel differently. I thought that was a good response. Grace's response. Admittedly, our actions as Grace administration were poor. While the situation was escalating and our disjointed staff was caught in a frenzied panic, it became abundantly clear that we should have exerted control over the group's disorganized responses. Reviewing the incident, the administration should have attempted to coordinate a better response with better handling. Nevertheless, it is important to move on. Yes, Grace is no longer receiving updates. However, we will be keeping the game up and have plans to have Grace's source code available for other aspiring developers. However, this does not mean every asset will be inherited. Some artists, developers, and other related individuals will have their works removed in respect to their decision to disassociate with the game and its controversy. Because Grace is now discontinued, we suppose it is good to make a nod towards Grace's contributors. This can be found under this tab, if you want to go check that out. I will link this document in the description. All things considered, it is important to accept accountability and acknowledge no one's faults. Grace was never meant to be a shield or cover for bigoted behavior, nor was it meant to be a game with an insincere message. Instead, Grace was designed to promote the bettering of oneself as well as serve as a form of therapy for individuals with religious trauma, religious hesitation, doubt in personal values, spiritual failure, and moral failure. As the dust begins to settle and the harassment and tensions die down, it is critical to understand that not everything on the internet should be taken seriously. There are no reasons to engage in harassment or any other harmful activity in an attempt to bring change. Still, it is important to address one other serious accusation before Grace may rest. It is of the utmost importance to us that the community remains attentive and understands as we address everything. Please do not go out of your way to harass anyone. On to page 2. This is three pages regarding Finey. To recap, March 30th, 2026, a document was posted onto Twitter discussing the behavior of Simon's partner Finey. This document was authored by one of Finey's former friends with the expressed intention to bring about reform to Finey. Within the referred document, it discusses how Simon's partner made controversial statements alongside a variety of slurs. The release of the document paired with the pressures of the impending update, his attempt to confront his partner, and the daunting vision of failure, Simon and other members of Grace would come to present a slew of unfavorable responses that do not fully reflect Grace's stance. This disorganized reaction would lead to even more misunderstandings, creating an environment full of virulent and outright untrue rumors. Introduction. In this tab, the team will present reflections on the events regarding Finey. Additionally, we will be addressing Finey's response to hold her statement accountable and express our stance on her. Do not hold Grace accountable for any of her future actions. Gotta bold that shit. Yeah, sorry she said racist shit, guys. 2 months later, she's dropping more slurs. That'd be crazy. Finey in retrospect. Additionally, Finey's response on Twitter was not well elaborated, and it did not represent Grace's views, especially given that Finey was formerly a secret tester and contributor, doodles and scans for the game. The team would like to be absolutely clear about this fact. The secret tester role does not provide any studio developer access to Grace, and the role does not grant any abilities to view the deeper development aspects of Grace. Finey's status as a secret tester did not give her any special influence on Grace's mechanics, game design, and inspiration, nor did it give her any vested authority to make any public statements regarding Grace. When the document regarding Finey was put out to the public, she initially was not going to put out any statements of her own. However, she would then put out a response as there was so much pressure coming from other people around her, unrelated to the Grace team, who were publicly known to have ties with her. We would like to make our stance clear that we do not condone Finney's usage of homophobic and racial slurs, nor do we stand by her dark, edgy, and offensive humor. Finney had her drafted response sent to a friend and asked them to proofread it. At the time, they gave the response the green light, and so Finney had sent it thinking it was a good initial apology. The apology was mostly met with negative reception after it was posted, and the same friend would then admit to the public that the apology was poor. Finney's response to the document regarding her was made in a rushed manner and pushed by pressure coming from parties outside of the Grace team. Her response is not Grace's response. She has been distant to the Grace's team. She's been distant to Grace's team and is only connected through Simon, whose perspective is elaborated. It is necessary to assert that we are not responsible for any of her actions. Grace's acknowledgement. Finney was ultimately uninvolved with any critical initiative which occurred during the Grace project. Grace reasserts its lack of affirmation with Finney and any of her offensive remarks towards the community, and we as the Grace. Administration claim ignorance of her past. Furthermore, the person on Twitter for Anon is unaffiliated with Grace. In fact, none of us know who this is, and none of us were made aware of whatever they were planning on doing. His actions are independent from this document. To reiterate, Grace's administration claims ignorance of both Finney's past as well as Anon's Twitter actions on Twitter. Alrighty, here we go. Sasan, I think that's what, or Sazan. Oh well, there's a lot of stuff here already. It's just the meat and potatoes of the everything. I mean, everything. I'm not saying that this document hasn't been bad. It's been pretty good. It's been a good response document. I will say, kind of defending. What was his name? I think his name was Mochi. Well, I wasn't defending Mochi. But still, that's kind of odd. Just getting a stretch before I read this next part. Okay. Regarding Saz, I'm going to just say Saz. Excuse me. Whoa! Oh my God! I look down. What the fuck is this? Pedophilia, grooming, guilt-tripping, blackmail, and bestiality? Holy shit. What did I just look down into? What the fuck? Okay, hold on. Take a pause for a second. Whoa, okay. Introduction. To preface the drama, there was a document posted on Twitter accusing Saz of the egregious accusations, pedophilia, grooming, guilt-tripping, blackmail, and bestiality. Holy shit. These accusations are severe and are unacceptable if true, and these should not be handled lightly. This document will serve as Grace's response to these accusations. That being said, it is imperative to explain who Saz is. It should be clarified that Sazan's birthday is on January 15th, 2007, not 2006. In the earlier stages, defined as the open chat era of Grace, Sazan's involvement was minimal, testing early features and providing feedback. He eventually ascended to a position of moderator and even hosted a variety of stage events. This information summarizes his position within the staff's hierarchy, acknowledging this degree of involvement, and the administration will now move on to I'm gonna just say Chen's and then this person's interchange. I'm gonna say Chen's accusations. Document versions added because there have been multiple editions and formats changed. More documents. There's a document inside of the document. This document inception. Oh wow! Just threw up in my throat. This to succulently whatever that word is. Big word, bro. Just use better English. That is better English. You know what I mean. To better put, the Grace team will heartedly disavows and rejects the maliciously doctored document. While Sazan's actions prior to the document cannot be excused, Grace's Grace cannot excuse leveraging the recent drama to form a witch hunt designed to harass a detested individual. Given her status as a Roblox group who seeks to provide child safety, evidence provided has been recensored to ensure the safe dissemination of this response. Original copies of the initial documents have been provided for transparency. View at your own discretion. I might do that in a different video. But it's kind of old, so I'm not even sure, bro. Regarding Sazin, pedophilia and grooming. According to the document, one of the writers, Chen, attempts to assert that their interactions with Sazin occurred while they had a 3-year age gap. This is blatantly false alongside the information presented, where the authors claim that Sazin was born January 15, 2006. This information is incorrect. Instead, Sazin was born on January 15, 2007. This misconception would heavily influence how the pedophilia and grooming section is guidelined. Further evidence will be contested below. Bro, if a 2-year age gap is pedophilia, oh my god. A 3-year age gap? Thought you were about to hit me with like something crazy, like, oh no, like a good 5-year age gap or a 10-year age gap. 3 years is like, I mean, okay. 2 years? Really? This is just starting a fire with water. Oh, Lord. Here's Sazin's date of birth to show his ID. You have the date of birth. Sazin. A full shot of Sazin's ID. Sazin's age. Person 1 as his ID compared to the pawn's age. Person 2 provided by their document. 2 years and 14 days. Whoa! Bro's getting groomed! Come on, bro. Are we fucking serious? This is so dumb. Anyway. The calculator shown can be used here. How's it down there? I'm not short. You seem pretty sensitive about this whole extremely short thing. I'm not short. It says that 5'4" is the average height for a 15-year-old. Because crazy to me because blank says is a short nerd. While this does clearly state Pon's age, it should be mentioned that Sazin's birthday is in 2007 and not 2006 like the original document stated. Sazin was 17 in this screenshot, and this will be the case for most, if not all, screenshots from 2024. Furthermore, given the screenshot's context, it may be appropriate to say that Chen may hold animosity regarding the short joke. This is emphasized in this section, further exploring how the author's cropped context, doctored screenshots, and hold great unjust animosity towards Sazin. Are you masculine, trans femme? Me sends a picture of, she... Okay, what? Oh, sorry. Kicks rock, puts hand in pockets, and whistles. This screenshot does not show any implication, sorry, that Sazin was a transgender chaser. Oh, okay. Or, in other words, fetishizes trans people. It only shows Sazin asking if Pawn was either a male or a trans woman. Then Pawn responds with an image of an 8-inch sheep plushie. Sazin responds with the "oh sorry" before giving a roleplay prompt of kicking a rock and putting his hands in his pockets and whistling. At most, the screenshot only shows a bad attempt at a joke. In the first revision of the document, Pawn also makes the claim, "I am not particularly sure if the Grace community is aware, but Sazin is a homosexual, at least from what he has told me." Okay, and quoted exactly where that came from. I like that. Thank you for quoting that. Whoever wrote this document, good job. This is only half true. Sazin, half true. He's bisexual. Oh, there you go. Is bisexual and is in a relationship with a woman who does not use gender-neutral pronouns. As to why this was even brought up initially is unknown. It is an extremely random point to add as it fails to contribute to any relevant information or argument. Okay. Show. Nope, I'm watching Rango. Mwah, sense a thing, sigh, what, full image. The screenshot is used in the original document as a showcase of Sazin enabling Pawn to send the full image of what is a pornographic comic. Sazin shouldn't have done this, though it should be mentioned that Pawn was also enabling Sazin Sazen's behavior by supposedly talking about the comic, which is cropped out of the screenshot, starts with Sazen by only saying show with no previous context, and then proceeding to send him a crop of the comic. It is important to acknowledge that Chen regards Sazen as being an individual who exposed them to pornography. However, the screenshot above demonstrates that it was Chen who was also sending pornography. It can be concluded that the action was mutual consented based on their own screenshots. Furthermore, the date of the screenshot emphasizes that they were both minors. Sad face, hi, what's wrong? Sends the picture. This screenshot shows Sazen sending Pawn a NSFW account. This is bad, especially if there's no further context within the document. Pawn makes the claim. Sazen at this point is 18 years old and should have known better than to expose me and many other minors to NSW art. Besides one reason, EPI. What is EPI? 1 second, I'm gonna go look up what that means. Okay, it means early porn introduction. Good to know. Did not know that. The more you know. This is false. Even when disregarding Sazen's actual birthday, Sazen was 16 in the screenshot, as this was 5 days before his 17th birthday. Furthermore, it is important to stress that this relationship was mutual, as indicated by the previous page's screenshot. Send me femboy porn. That's not a femboy. The screenshot shows Sazen requesting femboy porn from Pawn. It should be made extremely clear that the image is cropped out, so we do not know what prompted Sazen to ask. Pawn also makes the claim that this screenshot shows Sazen being a chaser, in which Sazen's statement in the screenshot is too vague to make this claim. This screenshot should have never been cropped nor presented with such vagueness. This crop only shows how the authors willingly manipulate information to present a message that they want, immediately hurting the reliability and credibility of their information. Okay. Sends this. What website is that? Patreon. You paid? Maybe. Hell yeah. His skin flashbanged me. Hey, link to that video. He's just a gooner. Okay. Okay. I mean, only reason why I'm kind of like, I mean, they're both fucking children sending each other this shit. They're not, okay, sorry. The leftmost screenshot shows Sazen showing Pawn a NSFW Patreon account he paid for. The next two, middle and right, are from the same conversation where Pawn sends Sazen a screenshot, including an NSF video of a femboy. Oh my god! And on the middle screenshot, Sazen asks for the video. Pawn then calls Sazen a pervert. Excuse me. Rightmost screenshot. And then Sazen asks Pawn if they wanted to see artwork from the Patreon. At this time, both Sazen and Pawn are still minors, at previously stated. Moreover, the time of the screenshot indicates that Sazen and Chen still have a 2-year age gap. Using Chen's birthday provided by the accusatory document, we can observe that even after their retrospective birthdays, their relationship remains consistent. Both continue to send NSFW to each other, with Chen still enabling this behavior. Still, neither should have permitted this behavior. Whoa, how do you pee? What? Who fucking asked that? How do you pee? Okay. What? Okay. You know, one thing that I'll never like reading on a Google Doc is like just shit that I don't need, like this. This screenshot shows Sazen asking Pawn how they pee. This is a very weird question to ask, though there is zero context given to make out if this is an actual question or not. Firstly, you need to ask what prompted this question, and we can see that the information is cropped out. This is not a demonstration of a fetish. Instead, this screenshot is a demonstration of an idiot. In the accusing document, this information is presented as a fetish pushed onto Chen. The screenshot fails to reinforce this point because Chen is confused instead of threatened nor pressured. This is a normal reaction because reviewing this, even lacking the context, we at the Grace team are also confused. I'm confused too. What the fuck? This sloppy piece of evidence, in quotation marks, further damages the trustworthiness of the presentation, immediately harming credibility. We lack the context of why Sazin asked this, and we lack even more information regarding Chen's singular reaction. We can conclude that this screenshot was the reaction of an ignorant 16-year-old Sazin, as well as a malicious omission of context from the accusatory authors. Oh, that's a slur. Okay, shut up, F slur. You wear thigh highs. No, I don't. Okay, sigh. This screenshot shows Sazin claiming that Pawn wears thigh highs, and then Pawn says, no, I don't. Sazin replies, oh, okay, sigh. Once again, there is no context from the accusatory authors. There is no context to prove the screenshot's legitimacy, and there's no evidence implying that Sazin was a quote-unquote chaser. Please note that there is a consistent pattern of contextual omission. Moreover, please note that Sazin was reacting to, I already liked that on X-Noob. Okay. In response to this, Sazin used a reclaimable slur, exchanging what appears to be an insult for another insult. This screenshot is just friends exchanging insults, so this means the author either maliciously misrepresented this, or they unintentionally presented the information as so. Given the consistent misrepresentation and visible tampering, cropping, it is pretty reasonable to claim that the authors are acting in malicious intent. Sazin, are you gay? What? I don't know, just act gay. You like stronger men dominating you. This is me, by the way. Okay. This screenshot shows Sazin calling Pawn gay and they like stronger men dominating them. There is no further context to the screenshot. This does not seem like a serious statement. Once again, there is no context from the accusatory authors. Nothing in the screenshot implies Sazin is a chaser. Instead, the screenshot is Sazin blatantly stating that Chen just acts gay. Sazin then makes an additional comment to express what he observes of Chen's preference. This is the third time that we are reiterating this point. The accusatory authors are malicious. If you want more verification, please read the two previous address screenshots. Drawing emoji. Would you love me if I was a MacBook? That's objectum. Never mind, I'm killing myself. What? No more. Why would you want to fuck a toaster? What? Even this person. What? Why do you want to fuck a toaster? Tell me now. What? Why are you calling me objectum? What? The leftmost screenshot introduces Chen sending a drooling emoji accompanied by an image of a MacBook. Sazin would then comment, would you love me if I was a MacBook? The last image of the leftmost screenshot features Chen labeling Sazin as objectum. This is another case of misrepresentation. Sazim's statement is a parody of would you still love me as a worm. We can visibly see that Sazim is just parrying a dead meme. Parroting. I know what it's trying to say. I can't fucking... You know what I'm trying to say. Instead of having a normal reaction, Chen would reply back, labeling Sazim's question as objectum, according to the accusatory document. Despite this being clear, there has been it has been irrationally exaggerated and misconstrued to be something sexual. Furthermore, there is no implication implying that Sazim is forcing this view other than Sazim's insistent questioning. The rightmost screenshot shows Sazim questioning why Chen wants to screw a toaster. Chen would eventually question why Sazim is referring to them as objectum. There is not a single indication that shows Sazim is forcing Chen to be objectum in either screenshots, other than insistent questioning. In fact, it is Chen who holds this sexualizing view, and through the And through this distorted lens, we can observe them and interpreting basic jokes as each screenshots as something inherently sexual. How far are you in Vegas now? I'm going to skin my what? I'm going to fuck you. Okay, cool, dude. How far? I'm going, my what? Or, no, typo. Wait, what? Yeah, oh, was the message deleted? Wait, what? In both screenshots, Chen is spamming Sazim. The fact is collaborated by the accusatory document, explaining that they use the phrase as a way of annoying Sazam regarding Sazam Revision 2.0. Using context clues, we can assume that Sazam was annoyed based on the skinning and screwing statements. He was annoyed enough to write threats. However, the accusing document would reframe this revision in 1.5 as an act of rape. This is blatantly false. Rape, as defined by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, is a physical or oral act of penetration, or in terms of sexual assault, is any instance of physical sex conduct without the consent of the victim. It is important to note that Sazam would delete the statement regarding screwing Chen. This emphasizes how much he regrets that statement, and he attempts to play it off as a typo. While this is unacceptable, it is still not rape. The authors of this document escalate two simple threats and likens them to that of rape, a physical action. The distorted lens indicates how untrustworthy and unreliable the authors are, and because they believe digital threats equate to physical action, it is just fake. Suspiciously cropped image. Oh, no, I don't. I wouldn't mind cock. I wouldn't mind fucking another man. Gay alert, kiss me right now in my hot mouth. I know exactly what bro's referencing. Oh my god. Okay. This is so bad. We're only on 13 out of 49. Already an hour into this shit. It's gonna be like a 3-hour document reading. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Alrighty. This is yet another case of. Wait, this screenshot shows Sazam and Pawn in Sazam's group chat. Pawn posted a screenshot saying, according to the accusatory document, was joking cropped to show Pawn's friend Kari, saying, I wouldn't mind a cock. Sazam directly replied to Pawn's cropped screenshot with, I don't mind fucking another man, and also Pawn following response with, kiss me right now in my hot mouth. This is yet another case of authors misrepresenting an interaction. Sazam's comment, kiss me right now in my hot mouth, is a reference to a niche 2010s era movie quote. We advise against looking further into this movie as it contains crude humor. In their document, they state that they are clearly uncomfortable. However, in this exact screenshot that they provide, Pawn sets the tone of this interaction with a jokingly cropped screenshot. From Pawn's initial action alone, anyone can easily see that this interaction was unserious. The fact that this interaction was unserious is further displayed when Pawn replied to San's comment, I don't mind fucking another man, with gay alert. The authors are framing this interaction as if Sazam was 18 in the screenshot, but we already know that this is incorrect as he would be 17 in this interaction. Isn't Jazz 12? Actually, how old are you? I forgot. Old enough. What? No one is supposed to know. I do. So, Pawn, what? The top screenshot shows that Sazam is verifying Ojas's age before asking again in the screenshot below. In the bottom screenshot, it is important to emphasize that Ojas intentionally obscures their age, to which Sazam asks a follow-up, comparing the general age of range to Pawn's. The accusation document frames this using the defunct information, explaining that Sazam was 18 at the time. Once again, this information is incorrect, as Sazam was 17 at the time, provided by the birthday of his ID. This information is framed as such, and the screenshot fails to elaborate what was discussed in the group chat. Regardless, the top screenshot shows Sazam ethically verifying people's age. Whether was said in this particular group chat, we can observe Sazam ensuring the safety of every user. Are you two, together? Pawn should be responding to my DMs and talking to me, and I don't know. Pawn never responds to my DMs. I want Pawn to kiss me, not him. Love triangle? No. This screenshot shows Pawn's friend asking if Kari and Pawn are dating. And this is followed by Sazam and Pawn's friend saying that Pawn doesn't respond to them. And Sazam stating, I want Pawn to kiss me, not him. The interaction would end off with Pawn denying their friend's question in regards to Pawn's relationship with Kari. The accusatory document presents the screenshot to claim that Sazam was getting jealous of Pawn and Kari's relationship. However, based on the screenshot itself, we can see that Sazam's initially states, Pawn should be responding to my DMs, and proceeds to emulate stuttering with the repeated and messages. This sets the mood, and Sazam follows this unserious tone and parodies a quote from Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay. Additionally, we can see that before Sazam made his kissing statement, Ojas? I don't know. Fucking like these stupid ass names. Would also make a joking remark. Pawn never responds to my DMs, indicating that the mood of this interaction at the time was unserious, casual, and mutual. This shows that the authors of the accusatory document had misconstrued the interaction to make an over-exaggerated argument. Susan Ma, are you and Kari fucking? What? No, I'm taking care of stuff. Tell. The screenshot shows Sazin kissing Chen and asking if Chen and Kari are fucking, as framed in the accusatory document. The authors only criticize and describe Sazin's actions. There is literally no negative implication other than the fact that he would not have asked that. The accusatory only acknowledges that Kari is a male around the same age as Chen, but they do not explore the age gaps nor implications of Sazin's question, because all important context has been cropped out. This is not a reliable screenshot and offers nothing of importance. All that is present is a casual tone in which Chen does not express any particular concern. This once again reinforces the fact that the accusatory authors are incompetent and unable to effectively form a relevant point. Sazin, can I test you what? I don't know. There is not enough context. This message alone doesn't determine if the texting had a sexual connotation behind it. This shows a general issue within the document. Okay, we get it. It doesn't fucking show. I'm not going to read all this. It's repeating itself. Why does calling you a F slur get you to respond? Okay, walks away. Hey, hi, I'm about to go to the bar. Well, Sazin is American. Sazin comes from an area that does allow minors to enter bars if they are not only accompanied by a parent or guardian, but also if they themselves do not drink while attending the bar. Considering the screenshot appears in the first revision to supposedly show proof for the doubt in the actual age, it shows that this section was removed specifically because this evidence was particularly weak. How old are you? 16, says Sazin. Okay, how old are you? Listen, Pawn, I don't want to go to jail, so is it legal? 14. Okay, I just want to make sure of that much. Yeah, what? It's 2 years. I'm not, don't worry, I'm just a bit confused. Also, question mark, I'm not sure of your age. These were when Sazin was 16 and first had romantic interest in Pawn. Sazin himself said he has a strict moral code when it comes to age gaps. This is clearly indicated by Sazin's intent to not go to jail. The document's original wording used as a platform to make a disparaging remark, reframing the relationship as if Sazin's age gap was pedophilic. The specific relationship was a 2-year age gap, not only fulfilling his standard, but is a generally socially acceptable age gap between two minors. Not only this, but Pawn was also completely willing to engage with the potential relationship. This is shown in both screenshots as Pawn not only asked about Sazin's age first, but also replies with a sign of affection in the second screenshot. Additionally, people who have the human tendency to forget due to poor memory and a variety of other factors. This is also the first instance where we notice why they revealed their user Ponith. Okay. Guilt tripping, add-on to pedophilia and grooming. Okay. Did you lose interest in me and want to stab me? What? You say you want to kill me. I'm joking. I'm sorry. Based on this interaction by itself, it shows an interaction where Sazin started off by pinging Pawn to get their attention. In the following messages, Pawn would make a statement, say you want to kill me, and Pawn would respond with a pair of emojis to communicate discomfort. Seeing after Sazin got Pawn's attention, he would again emulate a stutter by repeating the word did. As previously mentioned, the stuttering behavior would indicate that Sazin was not taking this seriously. As indicated in the screenshot above, Sazin confirms this behavior in explaining that he was joking and apologized. This is another instance of many where the accusatory authors distort reality to serve their point. Never mind. I'm killing myself. What? No more. You want to fuck a toaster? What? Why do you want to fuck a toaster? Tell me now. What? Why are you calling me objectum? The I'm killing myself in this context is not serious. There's no context given to the response, I'm killing myself. And from the little context there does not seem to be serious. It is not serious because he is replying to one of his own messages. This means he is reacting to himself. It can be argued that people should not joke about wanting to kill themselves in general, although the argument given that Sazin guilt tripping, not if this humor was acceptable, because this very lack of context we were unable to fully ascertain what Sazin was reacting to, other than a message of himself. This is definitely not guilt tripping because Sazin is reacting to himself, and he is not attempting to modify any behavior with this guilt given the current context of the screenshot. This entire guilt tripping argument falls apart definitionally. I've never heard that. I've never used this. Definitionally. This once more proves the author is not credible, and we should not rely on their testimony as they fail to identify what real issues are. Blackmail. Not a singular image indicates Sazin leveraging harmful information in order to fully fulfill any demand. As defined by Title 18 U.S. Code 873, blackmail is the act of maliciously using information in order to fulfill a demand, either monetary or valuable nature. No demands were present nor made to the knowledge of the Grace administration. Bestiality removed section. This is what caught my eye. I was like, holy shit, what are we talking about? In the first revision of the document, there was a section regarding a rumor that apparently they closed to Sazin before they had said that he stuck his penis inside of a squirrel, living thing, or plush. We don't know. Furthermore, this document then states behavior like bestiality should be punishable by death. Animals have the Animals have the mental capacity to understand what is happening to them, and exploiting them for sexual purposes is utterly disgusting and vile. I highly advise those to not further look into this, as you could potentially find something horrible you did not intend to see. It should be noted that there is no evidence attached to this claim and was removed in the second revision. This is a very serious and dangerous accusation to make against someone, especially without proper evidence, and should be taken as an act of libel, which I think that means defamation, but I don't really know off the top of my head. While we are glad this section was removed, it is still a horrible accusation to promote. The implications of this section will be explained in the counter-accusation section. Testimony section. Given their talk of testimonies as of 5/12/2026, there are no transcripts regarding their testimonies. While it is important to recognize the possible testimonies, it is also important to examine the author's credibility. Not once was the document in question properly composed with positive intent. We will discuss the shaky credibility of the authors and their privacy and their primary intentions in the following section. Accusation authors. While Sazin's previous actions are not excused, and we by no means condone them, it is important to recognize that the authors maliciously created this document not out of goodwill and verifiable information, but out of spite and clout chasing. There exists an intent to harm within the document in regards to Sazin, and this can be explained by the initial raw copy. This copy guides us through a slew of doctored or contextless evidence, presenting them under the charges of pedophilia/grooming, blackmail, and bestiality. It is important to also know that Chen admits, the screenshot which contains the user deleted user is my old account, which is in fact not deleted. I'm just ashamed of what I had done on that account and moved to a new one without deleting it outright. This statement indicates that the primary author and possibly their affiliates are already on the run for some reason because of a shameful reason they choose not to disclose. Their lack of disclosure is fine. However, this damages their credibility as explained later. Background. Before elaborating on Grace's counter-accusations for Sazin, his history with the authors must be disclosed. There exists a competitive community which Sazin was a contributor to. However, this community, circa 2020, inherently had faults. Instead of providing a spotlight to the community, we at Grace will prioritize the safety of the community, and we will keep all information pertaining to this toxic environment as vague as possible. The primary fault of the community at the time was its founder, an egregious pedophile who took advantage of the community's system to manipulate and groom minors. These actions were not left unchecked, and Sazin alongside other individuals directly affected, would proceed to offer information of their accounts regarding this pedophile. This information would be presented circa 2023 to 2024 in a compiled document which has now been deleted because of doxing and other threats. After a brief "I told you so" parade, Sazin would exit with disdain against the community, wondering about friend groups until the pedophile returns. Oh my. Oh man. Okay. The second fault lied in the fallout of this information. Instead of a proactive response, dismantling the systems in place and collapsing the pedophile's platform, the community would only ban them on the surface and actively interact with them behind curtains. This would then elevate the pedophile's ego, permitting them to grow their connections from the background and continue their activities. Because Sazin was formally equated with this pedophile in real life, said pedophile would promote the spread of misinformation as well as other forms of harassment as a medium to have revenge against the Nimrod who betrayed them. Oh my, the Nimrod who betrayed me. Sorry, wow. I don't know how to fucking... Guys, English is my first language. Okay. This word, fault, is what the community breeds aside its history. Even if the pedophile was banned or unbanned, the effects of the system they left behind was inherently negative. Social mobility and popularity hinged on how important an individual was in the community, defined through rank, artistic talent, or simple social skill. The easiest method of ascending through rank is simply sucking up and blindly adhering to orders. This was made easier through their outlets of recruitment, accepting susceptible adolescents and young adults from select Roblox experiences. The orders in question would range from basic in-game commands to harassment, predicted by Discord. This blind adherence would lead to a variety of negative effects, misguiding people who fail to understand what they are doing. While some may claim the community died when the controversy ended, the successor groups, some also ran by the pedophile, would maintain their predatory systems. These systems are, by design, intended to groom children into unthinking tools, following harmful orders that are intended to harass others. It forgoes the need to think and immediately rewards the ability to listen. There is no need to question in this system, and as a result, Sazin would simply move on from this community in disgust. There was no reason to keep up with the petty drama generated by these harassment campaigns until it would bite him back under Grace's employment. Counter-accusations. After the extremely condensed history review, the counter-accusation section will address noteworthy details regarding the authors. There will also be a breakdown of each point provided. However, not every point will have evidence at its inclusion. At its inclusion will either provide too much bloat, degrades readability, or is too obvious, can't be factually elaborated further. Libel. The majority of the document is libel-rooted in an innate want to harm. There is little fact that is misrepresented, doctored, or outright false. Documented history serves as a testament. Got more water. Oh, wow. Okay. Whew. Harassment. Inciting or provoking a witch hunt, leveraging the initial Grace drama. They have explicitly stated previous in the evidence that they want Sazin dead. Whoa. Lack of credibility. Proven by multiple sections, this document is not credible. This is highlighted in malicious intent. Malicious intention, actively spreading untrue rumors designed to aid the propagation of the initial document. Future testimonies may also be distorted or outright untrue given the false implication of Sazin's birthday provided by the original document. Some evidence in the original document was also doctored. Racism. The primary author of the document, Chen or Ponith, harbored racist beliefs against Africans indicated at the remarks? What? Oh, continued affiliation with a predator indicated by the section regarding bestiality. This rumor was proved by the pedophile themselves, as well as the members of the group chat condoning their presence. Stalking evidence provided by the authors indicates the authoring group went around his past, racking up whatever it is or appears negative. This continues through further distortion and misrepresentation of images. Harassment. Given the author's historical context with Sazin, it is no surprise that there is ill will between the members of that community and the subject of their document, Sazin. It is made abundantly clear in comments from the authors the time of when they dropped their document and how much information they provided regarding Sazin. Further information is expanded in the section Malicious Intent. Snuff, he broke bones. Bro, no way. Dude, we can find Sazin and kill him. Animal abuse is like so bad. Snuff personally wishes to condemn Sazin to death under the pretense of the bestiality assumption or accusation, that of which is compromised of unsubstantial rumors propagated by the pedophile. T. Ooh. Okay, identification, Discord, main account, abandoned main account, the one he okay. Social. Oh, they just put all the they just put all of his socials. Wow. Sazin's information, holy. His Steam, his fucking Twitter, his Roblox accounts, his Discord account. Oh my. Accounts, plural. Sazin's information shown here provided with the intent to spread awareness instead is added with the intention to harm. If there is a reason to spread awareness with the plethora of evidence, then it should have been appropriate to report to the proper authorities. However, if the accusation party forgoes that step, then they are oversharing all of these accounts. It is important to ask why they would not consult the proper authorities unless their evidence lacks credibility. Oh my God, I love this sentence. Where can we also apply this? We are adding this screenshot to provide context as well to the fact that we have included copies of the original document versions. Malicious intention. Within an all-purpose friend group chat, some facets of the document were leaked and exposed. This can be emphasized by the reactions regarding the document's dissemination. Some of the notable individuals include a person named Snuffed Chen and a person who will be referred to as V/P. Okay. No. I told him I was 15 years old. The next day, he proceeds to show me explicit material. Okay, the screenshot confirms that that it is Chen who is receiving these messages. Furthermore, this is the screenshot from their document explaining that the images below are Chen. Reference to the sentence above the screenshot. It is important to note that Chen is enabling this behavior by sending NSFW work. Additionally, Chen admits, quote, the screenshot which contained the deleted user is my old account, which is in fact not deleted. I'm just ashamed of what I had done on that account and moved to a new one without outright deleting it, admitting to some shameful past which has remained unexplained or ambiguous. Let this admittance serve as a basis of what their character could look like, a character which requires an individual to run away from their former accounts. We will elaborate on this in the next screenshots. Okay. Okay, cool. The image on the left is the censored image, which is presented in their document, although we did not have to re-add a censor box for child safety. Given what Chen said previously, claiming that the screenshot is them, we can see that in the uncensored copy of the original on the right, it displays the username and profile picture of Sadirifage. Okay, this is strange. It prevents a few possibilities. The user that Sazim is experiencing changing message. Sorry, holy shit. I need to calm down. I'm reading too fast. Whew. Excuse me. Given what Chen said previously, I already read that. Okay. The user that Sazin is exchanging messages with is not Pawn. Pawn rebranded, changed their profile picture and name. Pawn is cosplaying City Refridge. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know who this is. We have concluded that the third option, Poneth is cosplaying I'm going to just say Cityriffage? I don't know. The following screenshots will explain why Pon may be doing this and who City Plantility is. This will further be elaborated below. Okay. All this. Okay. Yeah, it's this account. Cool. In both of these screenshots, we can see the initial messages include their censored user. It is then truly revealed who the censored name is on the screenshot on the right. Strangely enough, this city displayed on the right responds to the name Pawn. That can only mean that Pawn is cosplaying City. Okay. City Rifa. I'm sorry. I'm like tripping up on this name. Somebody tell me how to pronounce it in the comments. Now you might be asking, who is Pawn and not why? Who says Pawn is not just rebranding? This is a basic conjecture, but according to regarding Sazin revision 1.5 on page 19, City is an individual who is hyperly sexual over the internet. Do note that the screenshots shared on page 19 are between minors. Planty and Priadon, however, these screenshots are still bad. Minors should not be engaging in such activities, and as a result, it is reasonable to say that this is an unfavorable and disgusting action. Most people do not want to be affiliated with, nor be partaking in such activity. And this is precisely why it is included in their initial document. Therefore, we can rule out that City is not a rebrand, it is a cosplay of poor taste, possibly hinted at their admission of poor character. But this is not the same. Wait, this is not the first time they've been caught cosplaying as that person. Okay. Person says, "Hi, hello, consumer. Notice how upon one online, I fucking hate the fact you snatched her user. Oh my god, I must steal her user just cause yes, she literally didn't. So I can impersonate her lately, bro. What? Plenty. Dude, ill. I'm sorry. Can you add blank back? No, is blank there? Okay. Okay." Demonstrated within the screenshot on the left, we can see Chen added plantility immediately after. A group member of the group chat explains that Chen sniped plantility's username. Recall that plantility is also known as City City. I'm gonna just say City, because I know that's not. Guys, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know how to fucking pronounce this name. I'm not even going to attempt to. The second screenshot in the center shows that the unnamed user, censored for safety, requests plantility to add another unnamed user. Please note that then Chen removes the plantility alt account and re-adds the unnamed user immediately after. The connection between this action confirms that Chen is in control of the plantility account. The screenshot on the right indicates that this cosplaying behavior persists to this day. Okay. Sazim, you're supposed to keep it a secret. Okay, bro. Okay, bro, what the fuck? Censoring just got fucked up. I'll send it anyway. I'll retake the photos. In the left screenshot, we can see Chen posting a slew of uncensored images, all bearing the name City. In the right screenshot, in a zoomed-in version of one of the images that Chen attached in their message emphasizing this, indeed, an account claiming to be City, we understand that the account in the screenshot to the right and subsequently every screenshot in the left is Chen, even according to the authors of the accusing document, already referenced in a previous point. There should be further emphasis that in the screenshot on the left, the pedophile, T, is referring to an individual named Sazin. It should be abundantly clear that Sazin was never in the group chat, nor will he ever be. This can reasonably be inferred given that he blocked every individual within it, and there is no reason to have him in the group chat where they flame him. Furthermore, he also wants to disassociate himself with those individuals. Because it is the pedophile referring to some Sazin individual, it is reasonable to assume that there exists some sort of fabrication. Given that the pedophile hates Sazin, there is already a culture of cosplaying. Probably against people who they hate. We can observe a trend that their evidence where they either chain or outright fabricate situations, some unrelated to Sazin, can be observed in the preceding and following sections. They were cosplaying as bro. Oh. Well, this just got interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. One preamble, I think this is from that document. I want to start off by saying that this document is not meant to attack the Roblox game Grace or anyone close to him, unless so inside this document. It is meant to call out one of the moderators for this game who has had a problematic and degenerate past. And I also want to add that Sazin has never asked me to send explicit photos of myself, and he has not sent any explicit photos of himself either throughout the entire time we had interacted. This, however, does not excuse his absolutely disgusting and degenerate behavior towards me. The pedophile did in fact help plan this, as demonstrated above in the leftmost screenshot. It has 12.2K likes. Oh, you already posted it? So what? Bro, the fucking George Not Found doc had thousands of likes. Not defending Sazin. He's a slur piece of lard. I'll fully read your doc at lunch. The doc is pretty light, but the Grace community is super fucking like woke, exposed culture land. Plus Simon Grace just got molested. What? So this is like just a wombo combo. He said, I've gone around and convinced the most people with the server ever that Sazim did actually fuck a squirrel. What? So odds and ends are people under the impression Sazim grabbed a random squirrel and fleshlit it. What the fuck? I'm mid-class reading and responding to comments because everyone else is asleep or at school. Huh? Wait, you're right. I thought more people would question squirrel fucking bruh. And words are fucking stupid. You take anything and run with it. You know this, especially Twitter and words. This situation reminds me blank situation, but a lot more drastic. I miss when me and blank redacted person were friends. Also, or we're friends, bro. Now he's consumed by. He had low-key insane at the time, though. Let me find the screenshots. They're so funny. It's okay, I was equally geeked, and I purposefully cropped out my messages here because I said some not nice things. Wait. These are actually crazy screenshots. Deleted, okay. Wait, what? The document claims it holds no animosity towards Grace and to separate Sazin from the team, yet the author very much released this information as an effort to spread the fire fueled by the pedophile who hates Sazin. Middle, second, and rightmost, third screenshot highlights the authors actively going out of the way to spread misinformation on the behest of the pedophile. 3. Blackmail. This occurred almost 2 years ago and still makes me furious to this day. My parents had one day looked through my phone and found DMs I had exchanged with Sazin and became rightfully concerned. My parents would furiously yell at me and would call me all sorts of degrading names, which left me in a terrible mental state. On the morning of the next day, my parents would force me to attend therapy and would need to provide the therapist with the details of what Sazin had talked about and did to me. Every day for the next 5 months, I would be required to sit down and talk with a professional for hours about what he had said and did to me. My whole life had turned upside down, and every day for me was a living hell. I wasn't capable of doing anything. My parents took away all my devices, and I essentially forced me to become a recluse. Sazim, tell her to stop. I thought she understood why I can't talk to her anymore. What happened? I'm going to therapy. They told me to stop talking to her. How was therapy? I don't want to explain everything. And the blackmail section provided, the author claims that it was clearly Sazin who prompted Chen's parents to send him to therapy. However, the second screenshot refers to her, in quotation marks, regarding Sazin revision source. Wait, what? Regarding her? The individual being referred to is not Sazin, as Sazin is not a woman. This screenshot was used to misrepresent Sazin, leveraging the lack of context. Foregoing such relevant information discredits the authors. We know that Sazin is not a woman, and because of this fact, this misrepresentation is outright malicious or sloppy. While we would stop here seeing that they are doctoring and misrepresenting screenshots, it is imperative that we break down every piece of information regarding this situation. Racism. Shen has a history of racism alongside Snuffed. We are unable to elaborate further. Okay. Snuffed is hacking equals racist plus African American. What? Oh, discriminatory. Okay, they got banned for... Cool. The screenshot shows Chen being banned for derogatory terms and other harassing items towards Snuffed. There should be a special emphasis on the the N1 line, showing that Chen is perfectly all right using African American slurs as a quick insult. It should also be emphasized that Chen is also using African American as an insult. How is that a fucking insult? Okay, what? This further shows that Chen believes that being African American is inherently a negative trait, equating it to be an insult. Jesus Christ. Whoa. Okay, that's okay. That's cool. Warren Chen. Okay, easy. Says slurs. Okay. All right. Snuff calling Chen a... I don't know what that is. Oh, it's a misspelling of cracker. Seeing how S is close to an A and L is close to a K on the keyboard. Okay. Then Chen calling Snuff the derogatory slur for Africans. Slurs for each race were exchanged. They are willing to trade offensive slurs, treating this behavior like it is okay. It is not okay given the historical context rooted throughout American segregation, and further. Affiliation with a predator. In one of the group chats where the document initially released, it contains the pedophile and their partner. The individuals within the group chat can be divided into parties. Pedophile party. People who are actively befriended with the pedophile. Names are censored to prevent dangerous interaction. T. The pedophile in question alongside a variety of other things such as zoophile, Nazi, etc. Holy shit. They have a grudge against Sazin, theorized to be manipulating the complicit affiliation party. C. Druggie, underage drinker, and apparently a doxer according to Sazin. V/P, wounded critter? Am I saying that right? Critter, my bad. Partners with T fabricated some evidence and spread some rumors to permit the document's ease of spread. Complicit affiliation. People who consented and welcomed the pedophile party into the group chat names are uncensored to establish accountability. Snuffed help forge screenshots and hide conflicting evidence based on the number of African-related slurs typed. Snuffed is either African or extremely racist. It is an active possession of a rape compilation. The worst people on the internet making a document on somebody who wow, bro. How fucking hostile do you have to be? Chen, primary author of the document, Amethyst, editor of the document, 17-year-old lolicop. Wow. These are the people, guys. Holy shit. Oh my god. Wow. This is crazy. Okay, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on? What is the subplot that I'm reading? Holy shit. Unknown affiliation. People who have not been identified with any party nor have actively expressed any protests to the presence of the pedophile party. Names are censored to protect possibly innocent people. A. Speaks inconsistency and associates in the group chat other than a few jokes. Probably a friend of Chen. Sackboy profile pic. A. Has not spoken since February. Generally unknown. H. Speaks often about interest and is a friend of Snuffed. X. Speaks inconsistently. Might be an editor of the accusation document as referenced by criticisms, probably a friend of Chen. Group chat list will include every letter. W is VP and pedophile is T. Every other party is present. Okay. X, weak ass doc, only 2 screenshots are good. Bro, like the pissing and asking for porn ones are good points. Chen put that. Everything else is either rumored, circumstantial, or R-word behavior, also cropped images. What's wrong with cropped images? I'm not writing John Freakazoid, but can we lock in with the evidence? Lock in? Question mark. X providing feedback on the document, being a possible contributor. We can allege that X is also a friend of Chen, given how casual their conversation is. It can be seen that X had replied to Chen's message, where Chen admitted that the time when they had finished revising the version of the document was around 2 a.m., late into the night. This indicates that the initial document was not professionally authored, explaining why some information may not have been appended without any particular oversight or care. Regardless, cropped images are inherently wrong because it removes proper context needed to make make an informed opinion on the subject. This action makes their document extremely untrustworthy given the legitimacy questions as they are picking what to omit and present. Wounded Critter. This guy has way too much. Is this the Lolicon? Is that what it was? It was this? No, it's Partners with T. So Partners with the Pedophile. Cool. All right. This guy has too much of a sexual degenerate to have that much of an issue with Okigom. I don't know what that is. And T, I think that's a name. I don't know. Guy was sending me hentai daily, talking about some T is a pedophile. What? Okay, what? Are you serious? How the fuck is that possible? Like, well, he broke its bones. Bro, no way, dude. Can we find Sasm and kill him? Animal abuse is like so bad. Zoophile versus pedophile. Well, chill pedophile. True. What? Screenshot. Okay. Screenshot shows Snuff accepting the information or blatant libel from the pedophile T. The pedophile's presence is further confirmed by their partner. Wounded V/P. Do note the date of the screenshot. This screenshot further confirms malice directed at Sasm under the false pretense, and additionally shows that the group chat is unaware of T being a pedophile. This festering malice only came out during the fallout of the Finey document, releasing their Sasm statement to an already negative public opinion. Not only do they affiliate and accept blatantly false information from a pedophile, they also help serve the pedophile's objective of getting back at Sasm. It is executed with the knowledge that the Finey document was impacting the team at physical, psychological, and relevant threats increased implicated here. All right, on page 42. I read it as that too when I read my message over, bruh. Snuffed. So when did blank rape you? Because I made peace with Jacob. And what did Jacob do to you? He's a pedophile. It isn't about personal trauma. The embedded screenshot within the image above indicates that another pedophile named Jacob is someone who they also believe is chill. This indicates how they are particularly proclivity. They have a particular proclivity towards affiliating with pedophiles. This association immediately harms their credibility because they are unable to discern whether or not their evidence is truly theirs. Sasm, who already has a negative history in that community, most definitely does not have a good standing with pedophiles, as indicated by T. The credibility further crumbles under the screenshot weight because not only did we confirm that evidence has already been fabricated or doctored, but now we can confirm that their malicious intent is not just solely Chen's. Instead, it is composed of multiple individual interests, many who despise Sasm. Good night, Wounded Critter. Good night. Good night, Cunny J? What? You too, Cunny Master. Ew. Yeah, okay. Ugh. Here's bro, this is so fucking gross. Here's an image of the Predator's partner V/P and Jesus fucking Christ. And stop using the term cunny to refer to each other. Cunny within the context is commonly used in lolicon culture to refer to underage Yeah, I'm not going to read that next part. Okay, cool. This behavior is unacceptable, especially Wounded. The pedophile's partner, it is referring to Snuffed as the termed, showing some form of grooming or intimacy. Dude, oh my God. Oh no, bro. What is this? Oh, what the fuck? No! Wait, what is this shit? What am I didn't know what... Okay, hold on. Amethyst sends this, which is, fucking... This is... Okay, sends that, which is NSFW of this. What? Help. She's a woman. Good night. That's my 14-year-old waifu. Yo, what the hell? Hell no. Questions and concerns. Please forward any of your questions and concerns to my 2 friends who may be uploading this document for me. I do not wish this attached to my name, and this is all within the past now for me. They helped supervise the creation of this and had zero part in Sazen's actual wrongdoings. Please do not harass my friends. They are only here to help me forward your questions and concerns to me. After receiving, you'll send the messages. Wow, that's a fucking... Whoa. Okay. The image above shows a heavily censored speech bubble depicting lolicon pornography. It is important to point out that this is an underage character as depicted in the screenshot right to it. Furthermore, Amethyst, the accusatory proofreader, and Snuffed appear to be indifferent. This is contrasted with the reactions of H and X. Also, it should be mentioned that the second revision redirects those who have questions and concerns to Amethyst. While Amethyst is allegedly around 17, this shows concerning behavior that very well could have stemmed from grooming or early porn introduction, EPI. It is extremely important to point out that Chen, as of writing this document, is 17, and that Snuffed is younger than Chen. That makes this a case of child on child. What the fuck did I just dive into? Holy shit. Makes it a case of child-on-child sexual abuse T may have caused or enabled. Did I ever send the rape compilation? I thought you said Cunny Jr., like Cunny Jr. Dude, new friend nickname. Didn't there need to be a whole announcement about the... What the fuck? This screenshot displays Snuff questions whether they sent the compilation given Snuff's affirmations with a pedophile on how V/P Wounded Critter is dating said pedophile. It can be reasonably inferred that the pedophile party had left an impression that negatively afflicted them, specifically Snuffed and other individuals within the group chat. The claim is sustained by the research article below, used to explain how childhood trauma can influence an adolescent mind. Sazen in retrospect... You get exposed by literal fucking... By the ring, bro. Wow. Okay. Sazen in retrospect. Exploring these allegations, it is important to note that Sazen did, in fact, warn the Grace team of his past troubles. He did admit his actions, detailing what he did and what he could recall, and his current actions reflected this. The Grace administration accepted his presence with this foresight, and we subsequently decided to accept his change as long as he consistently proved he has changed. He cut off his ties from particular communities, and he began to grow more distinct with his preceding social spheres before integrating himself with the Grace community and team. These actions emphasize his effort to not have his past corrupt his present change perception with Grace, and it also emphasizes that he moved on beyond this background. Regardless, it is the Grace team who accepted Sazen, and as a result, we also accepted the responsibility of including Sazen. To this extent, these accusations were already foreseen. Henceforth, this is our stance regarding Sazen, and the Sazen within the accusing document is what we consider the Sazen from late 2020 to early 2025. And we consider that this very Sazen different from his modern iteration. Yo, version 1, version 2, that's crazy. The current Sazen, who has worked with Grace dutifully, hosted events, and partook in the community, not out of the intention to groom nor manipulate, but out of the intention to genuinely take care of the community, to distance himself from his past and to prove to himself that he has indeed changed. To the knowledge of the team, Sazen has not committed any of these accusations under his tenure within Grace. During this entire tab's writing process, Sazen cringed, reviewing his past, and he did not let himself live down his past. This apparent sense of regret is what spurred the Grace team to defend him from the document. This is all we have to say regarding Sazin. If there are further discussions or documents regarding Sazin, then the Grace team will not respond, as this is a closed-cut case for us. The original premise of the document hinged on Sazin's age and rumors around him. However, this has already been disproven by Sazin's actual age and the provided screenshots, elaborations, and soon apology. If there is further testimony, we will treat it with a grain of salt and move on with our projects. Now, because this is a tab discussing Sazin, it is only fair to provide Sazin as an outlet to express what he wishes to say. The following section is written purely by Sazin, and it contains everything Sazin wants to say, including malice and a justified hint of anger. Okay, all right. Sazin's final statement. From the most recent document, there are some things I would like to preface. Throughout this time period, 2024, I was 17, and at the assumption at all times that she was 15. Looking back, I find my actions extremely alien, massively frowning upon this relationship. I have a strict moral code of age gaps, the furthest I would go being a 2-year age gap. I have a horrible memory, and looking back at what I acted like and what I have done only makes me want to repress it more. I must apologize if there are some gaps. I would also like to say that a lot of this was when I was associated with horrible people, and this influenced some of my behaviors, which I've known for some time. And after disassociating with these people, I realized a lot of them were bad. I strongly regret the person I was pre-2024, and especially regret my actions from 2020 to 2024. When I was leaving these people, I was a minor, very hormonal, and have forgotten some things from before that time. I heavily apologize to anyone I have genuinely hurt for my actions, even if I was unaware that I hurt them. I would like to say that my accounts were not abandoned. They were banned because of a music scene and related discords I was in. I was in these servers for the music alone, since I am extremely interested in music. And it should be noted that these artists do not encourage and disavow any violence that happens from this scene. Any person who does support violence who is in the scene is usually ostracized and kicked out entirely. I apologize how I acted in random comms in Nap Zone, and on Twitter. In my mind, I was trying to help defend one of my best friends. I realized how immature it was with the way I handled it, especially with my comments about coping mechanisms. I also understand that just because someone does have black and queer friends does not mean that they can not be hateful. This was primarily said as Simon does not treat us any differently as he would with any other person. Yeah. I have nothing but hatred for my past, and I heavily regret ever interacting with the people in that community and letting how they act change me and change others. In regard to Revision 1.5, my involvement with Plantility City was not something I did on my own accord. I was dragged into a group chat by a third party, asking if I wanted answers from Citry, because they left everything abruptly. Jesus, dude, I can't speak. You try reading out loud for 2 hours. Citry, because they left everything abruptly in 2024, and I simply wanted answers. I was aware of one victim they had, and under the understanding that they had mended things with them and were actively getting better. Seeing that the person who added me to the group chat had them added as well, I decided to add them there under the pretense that they were improving. I later became aware of 3 other victims and promptly cut ties with Citry. When I first heard of everything, I learned they were a Grace fan and planned to isolate them because I didn't want them to harm anyone. I was not told by others because it would cause more problems than it solved. The Grace development team has been nothing but kind and really helped me improve as a person. Everyone in my current friend group can attest to how different of a person I am now, and I can't recognize the person I used to be. This situation has been nothing but a really depressing reminder of the person I once was. I have not got over who I was. I have not got have not got over who I was, and I constantly am trying to improve. I hate who I used to be and I hate who I used to be and who I used to be around, unlike them. I have been in therapy for a year and noticed change unlike someone. You. Unlike someone. I will be leaving any public spaces after this is posted. I wish to be left alone. Have a nice day. Regarding staff. All right, page 4. 26 pages. Oh, God. Okay. Alrighty, guys. An hour and 53 minutes in. If you're still watching, you're fucking awesome. Introduction. As the Grace team was actively attempting to recover from the controversy, various other Grace-affiliated dramas broke out, either out of clout chasing or malintent. Regardless of whether these are verifiable, it is important that we address our handling of the Grace situation, the subsequent cover-ups, and certain rogue staff. Staff, in retrospect. Handling. Our stances regarding our handling is pretty unanimous. We sucked. We made the situation worse, and our advisory efforts were poor and disorganized. Most of our efforts were made with the grand fatigue or were made with little consciousness to the community, and for this we must apologize. We are sorry to the community for any misunderstandings generated, and we are sorry to Simon for our ignorance and inexperience. Cover-ups, in quotation marks. There exist two groups of rogue staffers that flew off the handle and ignored all of the Grace team's requests, namely Mochi and Sion, were both leading parties engaging with the community on Twitter. While it should be acknowledged that these two parties either defended or aggressed against Grace, it should be recognized that these two significantly increased the time it took to author this response document. Addressing the cover-ups, we do not acknowledge any attempt to cover evidence up. While Balmore issued the gag order, it appeared to be an attempt to cover up dishonest behavior. It was actually used to moderate the staff's actions and establish control of information such that the situation does not get worse. This order was, of course, violated by both Mochi and Sion near hours after its issue. Now, this document, which was originally meant to drop on April 5th, Sunday 2026, was now actually dropped on this date because of the dynamically increasing amount of information and allegations that need to be addressed. Mochi. We must immediately preference that this former staff member should not be harassed under any circumstance. When Mochi took to Twitter to defend himself and Simon, we appreciated the sentiment. However, we cannot accept Simon's word nor the fallout. Mochi immediately violated the gag order, and the creation of this document was further delayed. He would eventually be removed from the document-making group chat, despite Mochi's muddled intentions. The Grace team cannot accept his response, nor should his response be interpreted as on the behalf of Grace. As a result, shortly after this Twitter thread, we immediately removed Mochi's role of community manager. While efforts were being made to control the situation, Mochi proceeded to stress Simon out more, begging Simon to keep the game closed source and going against Simon's and the rest of the developers' wishes to open source Grace. This would, in turn, affect Simon's response, and this would substantially establish Mochi's intentions for Grace, a closed community where he and his pre-prepared team can inherit the perceived benefits, in quotation marks. It is important to mention that this new Grace development team was formed one day after the Finey fallout. It is important to emphasize how uncoordinated Mochi's behavior was during the staff fallout from the Finey document. At that time, Simon had only briefly talked about open sourcing Grace, to which Mochi would completely disregard Simon's wishes and the Grace team's reasoning beyond open sourcing Grace. Mochi would decide on his own to take up the mantle of managing Grace upon himself. Mochi would perform a power grab unilaterally, declaring himself the community manager, a role that did not previously exist before the drama. This was only possible because Mochi had monitor permissions. Everyone on the Grace team could not foresee Mochi's mismanagement. The gag order from Balmore screenshot proving Mochi knew. Gotta zoom in. Hi, Mochi, please stop. And I mean completely stop communicating with the public. Mochi, the more you waffle on Twitter and interact with the community, you diminish our current efforts. This one I fully accept. I didn't know or acknowledge you meant in general, not just about Sazin. I'll hold off as per request. Okay. Yeah, bro knew. Mochi knew. Mochi, let's see. You could do something here and just not make it open source. I personally believe you should take a break from the internet for a while. Don't do anything regarding Grace, including open sourcing. I guess I'll keep trying to develop whatever I'm working on. At this point, I don't personally think you should open source the game. Okay. Scion, we must immediately preface that this former staff member should not be harassed under any circumstances. While we can't accept Scion violating the gag order to expose Simon's racist past and subsequent racist 3-hour future, we do not accept the fact that this situation proceeded to grow beyond the initial screenshots. From the team's point of view, it is reasonable to infer that the situation being defined as Simon is racist was, quote, concluded, defined as acknowledged and addressed in doc by the team. This Twitter drama would relatively settle until April 10th, 2026, where Mochi and Scion refuse to continue to clash. These clashes are now deleted, but can be inferred by the pair having made up having quote unquote made up. From these clashes, Scion continued to post screenshots referencing more images after Simon's initial apology. These screenshots retell the same argument, and it is reasonable to infer that posting them was not done with honest intentions. These intentions were either constructed from naivety. Yeah, I think I said that right. Naivety or out of malice, but given the current circumstance where Scion is continuing to spew out more screenshots, it is reasonable to infer that their intent is malicious. What makes Scion's situation worse is that Scion most likely knew that Grace was making a document. For instance, Phil, one of the main composers of the Grace original soundtrack, was not only posting once but twice regarding the Grace drama, and each time this document was referenced as being in development. This means that Scion elected to not wait for any response, and instead disregarding any future response and proceeded to post more screenshots. These screenshots would then further delay this response document as we sifted through mounds of evidence, in quotation marks, that are either significant or insignificant. Although all of Scion's statements in regards to the game's future thus far have been speculated, it does not change the fact that a proportion of the community has taken on Scion's words as official or final, because he has backed up some of her previous statements with various sources that seem credible and would attempt to establish herself as a credible provider of information in regards to the situation. In a previous statement on Twitter by Scion, she would explicitly express how she had talked to multiple of Simon's friends. After gathering her information, she would claim that Simon's justification for saying slurs was because, in brackets, he, the whole quote, thought it was alright to say he doesn't actually hate marginalized group. Then argue that his actions that followed from the controversy showed that Simon was malicious and that this justification was merely an excuse to be malicious. Similarly to Scion, we too also have contact with Simon's group, or Simon's friends. We have asked and gathered from every one of them regarding Scion contacting them to query about Simon's justification for usage of slurs. Not a single one of Simon's friends that we contacted has confirmation that Scion had questioned them about Simon's justification. Because of this contradictory recounting of sources, we suspect that the following scenarios could be taken place. 1. Scion had lied about having contacted any of Simon's closest friends to query Anyway, about Simon's justification, and had fabricated this justification to purposefully hurt the credibility of Simon's final response before it would come out. 2. Sion had contacted Simon's close friends. However, she would not ask directly. Instead, she probed into their thoughts to gather opinions about Simon. Using these opinions, she would form Simon's justification from his friends instead of directly asking them about were Simon's justifications. Because of the lack of context, Simon's presentation may be rooted in discredibility, completely dismissing Simon's perspective. 3. The people who Sion claims were, quote, Simon's friends weren't close to Simon at all, and instead these people were only familiar with Simon far back into his past. This would not make these people a credible source in the context of this controversy, and using them as a source would only further grow the situation beyond its original scope. 4. Or the people who Sion claims were Simon's friends were impersonators, or persons unrelated to Grace who claimed to be, quote, close friends to Simon, drip-feeding Sion information that would prompt Sion to keep growing the situation out of its original scope. No matter what took place, a crucial pattern appears to be true with Sion. She does not have any authority whatsoever to be a provider of credible information, yet she has continuously attempted to solidify her authority and maintain this role. Whether intentional or not, this pattern of hers comes at the cost of breaching people's privacy or causing unnecessary involvement by bringing other parties related or unrelated into the controversy into community scrutiny. In her crusade to further drag down Simon and the Grace Project as a whole, Sion would drag in other unrelated parties, using them as a medium to allegedly get back at Grace-affiliated people. Sion does this most likely because Simon is white, and they have expressed their disdain for white people multiple times. Regardless of motive, other individuals were harmed, namely referring to an individual as R, who has no affiliation with Grace, and is observed that Sion deliberately left their username uncensored in some tweets. Do note that R is only related to the controversy through Simon, which they briefly communicated with for a short period. Sion is in all technically a part of the Grace team, and is all technicality a part of the Grace team, serving as a ex-moderator, according to their Twitter account. Do note that because Sion was a moderator, they were fully aware of what forms of harassment would come to users who get close to dramas. Furthermore, R expressed discomfort with Sion's methods to get... oh my god. With Sion's methods of getting a jab at Simon's credibility through using R's DMs. Initially, Sion had made a Twitter post detailing 2 screenshots. The post showed private messages between R and Simon, where R is censored, and a message that Simon sent in random comms bullshit. She would make a statement to argue that Simon was not taking the consequences of him saying slurs seriously. By comparing these messages, the message sent times, it showed that Simon's reaction remained unserious even after he addressed that he would be making a giant apology. R would contact Sion in private, discussing how R did not want to be dragged into the Grace controversy. Sion reassures R by saying that their name was censored in the screenshot of the initial post. This shows that Sion was concerned and fully aware that having R's name uncensored would only bring harassment to them. This reassurance would be disregarded by Sion as Sion would later post another tweet. Attached to the post would be another screenshot of R's private messages with Simon, this time without censoring R's name. Sion would make a statement in this post exclaiming how Simon was shit-talking behind her back and expressing how his behavior shown on the screenshot was immature. Looking into the screenshot, it showed Simon querying R to find out who Simon's friends were. This was a part of our investigation efforts into a previous tweet that Sion had sent regarding Simon's friends, in quotation marks. R's breach of privacy was no expense of Sion's, and as a result, Sion would use R's brief connection with Simon to plummet the team's efforts. Take everything Sion says with a grain of salt, as the sources she's using to back up some of her statements do not seem credible themselves. Additionally, any statements coming from Sion in the future regarding Grace should not be treated as official or final. Statements on behalf of Grace. Despite Sion... Oh wow. Okay, that was a fucking mouthful. Despite Scion having been a moderator in the role of secret tester, she has never seen or been a part of Grace development work, nor has she ever heard of the development team's long-term plans, such as open sourcing the game. The team would like to reiterate that the secret tester role does not provide any studio developer access to Grace, and the role does not grant any abilities to view the deeper development aspects of Grace. To make matters worse, Scion intentionally doctored some of these screenshots posted onto Twitter as an attempt to further plummet the team's credibility. With the motive of harm confirmed through these edits, we can now speculate why Scion do this. 1. Scion is being influenced by some third party which benefits from having Grace's reputation plummet, despite the knowledge of a response. 2. Scion is being manipulated or used by some proxy as a medium to get back at Simon or Grace. 3. Scion is receiving a cruel kick out of posting a consistent stream of unverifiable information. Original tweet. Okay, hold on. Oh, I gotta catch my breath. Holy shiza. These are tweets made by Scion. Simon is likely not open sourcing the game, releasing response in April as he allegedly left the internet. He did not leave the internet, but there's still no update on open sourcing / responding to current events. Screenshots of Simon's tweets of her discrediting future responses as insincere, and that Simon is likely not, quote, releasing a response to what happened in April. Okay, more screenshots. Scion, I'm sorry, but I won't be conflicted in this behavior. We are trying to resolve this, Scion. This breaks my heart. Simon just plans to move on from Grace and create a new game. Scion. Okay. I can't see this. I cannot see this. It says, Unmiser, hi Scion, please, I would like to hold communication with you. Thanks. Please accept my friend request. Hello. Have you made any statements online recently as of today? In private servers, not too much public ones. Apart from Twitter ones, I shared my own perspective on the situation yesterday. Ensure that your statements stay in those private spaces. It does not matter what you said. If it is anything related to what you said in relation to Grace, please ensure that. Alright, I plan to keep them private as they go into detail compared to what I've already said publicly. Thank you so much. It means so much to me. Do not be reckless. Scion, I'm sorry. I won't be complacent in this behavior. We are trying to resolve this. Scion, this breaks my heart. Okay. And a screenshot of Scion's tweet, along with Scion's original attachment, plus the full conversation, showing Scion purposefully going out of her way to crop the screenshot to devoid it of proper context. Oh, wow. Okay. The only white people I'm seeing getting mad at this tweet are Zeal supporters. The owners pick up their insults, I guess. Oh. Pressure mention. Who cares what you think you're white? Okay. The word Simon has a history of oppressing black people. Simon is white and therefore cannot... What the fuck is this shit, bro? The owner's a white racist and handles the staff team. Okay, alright. Cool. The only white people getting mad, yeah, Zeal supporters. Random ass Zeal mention. Okay. These screenshots demonstrate that Scion has a particular prejudice against white people. This is emphasized in the top right screenshot where Scion retweets said meme. This shows a clear bias directed against white people. It's so weird. Okay, how are you gonna, not the, like, I get people having a prejudice, like, not that I get it, I don't get it, it's like, that's, I don't, okay. You can, I hate to break it to you, this is fucking racist. Like, this is just fucking racist. You can just say, you can just be honest and just say Scion is racist. Because that's what this seems. Like, it doesn't matter what you fucking swap the word with. It's still racist. That's just racist. Oh, Shamey, how are you going to joke about slinging slurs 5 hours after saying you're ashamed of myself in the official server? Performative fellas. Okay. A screenshot of Cyan's first tweet showing the screenshot taken from R showing that Cyan initially censored their name. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna keep it a buck. You're fucked either way. If you double it down, it'd be extremely funny, but you'll go down in history. Sends an Indiana Jones gif. A lot of tweets. Bashing Simon. Okay. Yo, did Cyan approach yo about my justification for using slurs? Because Blood said I approached Simon's friends even if bro doesn't know who my friends are, because we are all thinking she's bullshit. She's bullshitting. No, she didn't. She's just rambling. Regardless, Cyan posts on Twitter are not pure, nor is Cyan privy to the information held within this document during its creation. All Cyan appears to be doing on Twitter is sensationalist misinformation, carefully modifying and cutting out necessary context of screenshots, as well as fabricating invisible testimonies from Simon's friends. This behavior is reminiscent of a particular problematic trait. We have concluded one defined fact. Simon's behavior is consistent with that of a clout chaser or a drama parasite. Observing their Twitter, you can see the majority of their posts commentate and follow drama. Oh, Lord. Pink Paradox. Okay. We immediately preface that this former staff member should not be harassed under any circumstances. Treat this section as more of a report, sorry, like, trying to I think we're fine if it, okay. Seems a lot of people. I hope somebody didn't just edit the document. Real time editing the document. Gulp. Okay. Treat this section more as a report, less than a recountment of rogue staff. Okay. In the midst of organizing a response, Cyan went rogue on Twitter, clashing with Mochi. The reason the clash was sparked is sourced by this Twitter post. The linked Twitter post, one of the timestamp left uncovered, displaying the time of someone left, is located in the Mountain Time Zone. Given that every staff member in Grace is accounted for, Pink Paradox is the only individual who possesses this time zone. This would lead Simon to personally ask Pink whether she exposed this screenshot. However, the response is a blatant lie produced after a day of silence. This is uncharacteristic of Pink, namely because Pink is consistently online for a majority of the day due to intense social anxiety. The question was set up to be answered with a yes or no response. This extended period of thought, as well as fraudulent responses, indicates a form of guilt or conflict. This conflict may be due to the following: guilt or colluding with Cyan, whether consciously or not, having to face confrontation, having to possibly face accountability. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Oh my God! Whatever the reason for lying about the screenshot, it proves to be strange, especially given Pink's connection with Cyan. Both individuals share special traits unique to both. And because of these traits, there is a reason to infer some sort of relationship between the two, which may influence how Cyan is approaching Grace on Twitter. Excuse me. This information provides credibility to some of the conjectures made in the Cyan section. Hey, Pink, was Cyan in your DMs recently? She's talking about having my friends' opinions on stuff. We don't know if she's lying or not. Pink, I know you don't like talking about the situation, but this question means a lot. Question mark. Almost like 2 days later. Holy shit. Almost 3 days later. Wait, April 16th all the way to 13th? Holy shit. Oh, sorry, she wasn't. This screenshot refers to Pink's abnormal response time of 3 days. It should be noted that Pink was unable to answer a basic yes or no question related to Cyan for 3 days. This instance of abnormal behavior additionally shows possible hesitation. Furthermore, Simon did a check each day, meaning Pink could not have possibly missed the question. Yeah, I don't care about the situation. These people are not convinced or for me to care at all. Does this mean Dead Drops said with diversity higher as the fucking... Okay. Oh, man. Oh, okay. Does it matter that much? You guys are just making a game. Who cares? People talk. Who cares what crap people talk? Simon says R word. The time zone stamp reference against the following provided by Sion's tweet. Screenshot taken by an administrative member with the central time zone. It's different time zones. Okay. The top screenshot refers to the original screenshot which came out from Sion. The bottom screenshot displays the same content. However, because the member who took the screenshot was located in Central, this member's particular time zone is 1 hour ahead. Therefore, we can conclude that the top screenshot provided by Sion was posted in Mountain because we can see that the time zone is 1 hour behind. Using this information, we can conclude that the leaker who took the screenshot was someone who lives in said region. Oh, wow. Oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Yeah, cool. Accounting for this fact, it is important to question who on the Grace team had this time zone alongside access to the developer server. This creates a narrow list of developers. This is because these developers have to be located in the Americas. Furthermore, we can immediately discount the time zones of every individual who does not live on the American continent. Because Grace development was a tightly knit friend group, every time zone is accounted for. To prevent doxing and further staff endangerment, please refer to the image below. Yep, Mountain Time Zone is right there. Weird fucking time zone. 2 hours behind. Pink. Okay. Roblox accounts with that name don't make sense either. The one I found never played Grace. Y'all, I think we fucked up. Why the fuck did I just see an eyeball flash me when I opened the door of the latest version? Unless they're referring to Slight, someone may have accidentally updated the test place. Okay. This Pink, why is he covering me? The screenshot sent by with the Grace Nap Zone stage server channel. Okay, just proving that Pink did in fact leak it. Oh god. Oh, alright. This is confirmation screenshot by the CST admin member from Nap Zone stage channel. Please note, both screenshots were taken by the administrative member belonging to the Central Time Zone. In the top image, we can observe that Pink took the screenshot and immediately sent it to the developer server. This is collaborated by the timestamp provided by CST admin and Pink herself. The center and bottom screenshots further cover this fact. Pink posted more, further confirming her time zone. This center screenshot is sent by Pink. The bottom screenshot is sent by CST admin. With these two instances, Pink has confirmed multiple times that she lives in the MST time zone. That being said, Simon wanted to confront, inquiring about how the screenshot could have been leaked. It is important to note that Pink is the only MST time zone member within the development server. Please refer to the next page, view for confrontation. Hey Pink, you alright? I'm asking because this is your time zone, man, and nobody else has it. What's it called? It's just, I just want to know if you're being honest with me. Yeah, that's not even the thing. But it is, though. I haven't used that in a long while. I'm on mobile right now. This is the first screenshot of the confrontation between Simon and Pink. We can observe that Pink immediately denies the screenshot and the rationale. Simon proceeds to provide the embedded screenshot within the image that was sourced from the dev server against Pink's counter. Before breaking down Pink's counter, it is important to note that Pink does not initially address the time zone. Instead, it is the Discord theme which she chooses to address. This completely ignores Simon's inquiry, and it shows the possibility of a version. Okay. What? Pink, are you being honest with me? Yeah, I don't know how I can prove it isn't me. Can you take a screenshot right now if it's on mobile and send it to me? Alright. Do not to discomfort, but like, why are you taking so long for a screenshot? What? You just asked for it. I was just cropping down your message. Okay. I'm like 1 hour ahead of the screenshots, I think. Did you move or something? Because that's your time zone, if I recall correctly. No, I never moved. I'm saying I'm 1 hour ahead of the time shown in the screenshots. You can see that Simon is asking for honesty because, frankly, we don't understand why Pink could have done this. Nevertheless, the time frame between sending the embedded screenshots is indicated on the rightmost screenshot. We can see that approximately 1 minute and 10 seconds, rounded up to account for the lost time when timing. It's the time that takes that screenshot. The time it takes to screenshot an image, especially on mobile, is typically less than a singular minute. This remains true unless there is tampering. Please refer to the next page. Oh, okay. Here shows how easy it is to change one on an Android device provided by a member in the Eastern time zone. Yeah, okay. And then here it is on the iOS time phone. Okay, Simon sent this, but this is also the same time zone. Pink, I'm not sure you're being honest with me. If I had the time shown there, it'd be around 2:41 p.m., and it's 2:41 for me right now. I don't know how else I'd prove it. You can ask Scion or someone that knows me. I don't know. As presented, Pink would deny all accusations using the previous screenshot as justification. Regardless, Pink refers to a specific individual first and some others that know her. There would be a special emphasis on Scion being mentioned because there is a implicit relationship between the two. Please note that not once was Scion mentioned until now. This brings in the possibility that Pink is already conscious of who sent the screenshot. Once again, we at the Grace team want to deeply express that no harassment should come to Pink for this. This is simply a report regarding their suspicious actions. We can observe that Pink has shown multiple instances of their presence in the MST time zone. However, we ultimately find it suspicious the sudden hour shift forward during their confrontation. Our goal was to investigate why people want to delay the document's release, and we concluded this answer may just remain ambiguous. We are sorry for the wait. Final response. Whatever happens now, this entire controversy is clean and cut. We do not plan on revisiting. This will be addressed in staff send-offs. Okay. Page 5. We have a summary. 2 hours and 24 minutes. Oh my god. Okay. Introduction. Before Grace calls its farewells, there are some messages some staff and affiliated testers would like to say in regards to our great community, other developers, and artists who have contributed their musical talents, artwork, and information, and other specific assets. We would like to provide a section for them to say that their final farewells to Grace. Aside from these creators, there exists another category of dedicated contributors to Grace, the secret testers. While the subset of individuals are not formally recognized in any facet, they will be addressed, especially after some have been recognized multiple times. Furthermore, it is also important to recognize that every individual listed under this category is not necessarily involved in the creation of this document, as indicated in previous sections. Excuse me. Many members from this list have either preemptively left or have already responded in regards to the controversy. Please read this section with the understanding that not every person listed participated in the creation of the Grace response. Send-offs, farewells. Sebastian. Greetings. I hope everyone's day is going the best it can be in these tiring times. It's not a relatively good day for me either, but I guess right now, a good time to look back, as well as bid my last farewell to this weird little game. I joined Grace's development somewhere around the time Seeds of March was being developed. Though at the time, I was merely a tester, but mostly onlooker due to my initial hesitation on playing horror games. It would never really contribute anything until after Fruits of March released and onwards. My only reason for joining Grace's development was that at the time, Simon was pretty much the only person working on the game most of the time. Of course, aside from a few later contributions, holy shit, by others. Oh my gosh, hold on. I need more water. Hold on. Okay. As I was saying, and purely out of care for a former friend and my unbridled eagerness to work on a Roblox game again after a while of a bunch of failed self-made ones, I offered to contribute to the game's development, and the rest of the history until now. Some funny context I can probably mention is that I am not religious. My family is, and I was Christian for some amount of time during my childhood, but over time I sort of ended up growing out, for lack of a better term, for those sort of beliefs and standards people placed onto me from this. Grace, however, added a whole new perspective on this kind of religion that I basically ended up shaping my entire understanding of it from just the game itself. My first notable contribution to the game that I can remember is Clock Tower Mayhem. It's a song I'm really personally proud of its in its final state and spread the love. What's really funny is that while being made before Ultrasonic Faith, the song ended up influencing the big changes I want to do for Clock Tower Mayhem, one of them being noticeably the fact that it has vocals. Other changes I've made to the game are things like additional sounds, minor voice work, and even small gameplay changes to the main modes of the game. My biggest contribution, however, is the Mayhem game mode. Most of you all know it to be the one that is in soul over body, but back then it used to be a small little for fun script I executed during public test sessions and such. The themes in it were pretty much meant to be sort of reflection of my own struggles, like the initial very fanon designs and visual motifs, which these visual motifs would soon sort of carry over to the soul over body version. Fond memories, the bunch. I was really excited back then, couldn't you tell? My time as a Grace developer has been very mixed. Let me see here. Okay, so sorry. It's been very mixed, I'd say. Well, the majority of the time was very fun. I could say that I even enjoyed it. There's also the latter that was a huge slodge for me mentally. It was a lot of internal mental debates, a bunch of paranoia that horrifically became true one way or another, to be exact, as well as a bunch of mistakes. It'd be a lie to say I didn't have any regrets or concerns even now. After all, I'm merely just a person, and a flawed one at that. But I'm willing to take accountability, acknowledging my faults, and continue to better myself as a person going back solo. Though I must state that I do not condone or tolerate any actions or behaviors that Simon or Finey have demonstrated. Defending them or the ways I've reacted at the time is something I cannot do, as what was done is and has been against my standards and self-established morals as a person. With that, I must apologize for how I've also handled things on my own the whole time I've been here and now, and I genuinely promise to improve myself in the future. Lastly, thank you all, genuinely, for your support. It means a lot to me. Being the first time I could ever support others like my partner, myself, and my family in a while. A remarkable moment that even my dad was impressed about. Haha. So, as I move on, I want to become my own thing and forge my own path, like I've said, to continue onward pursuing my passions while making things right to others around me, and especially people like you reading this document. Like Phil C. says below, if you have ever bought my albums, your money does not go and never went to Simon. My album's money went to me, which was something agreed upon between me and Simon during the production of the Garden Tracks albums. You can continue supporting me and my future work as always without worrying of that money going anywhere else, and it'll stay that way. Sorry, I'm like adding words. I want to let everyone know that they are loved, that there is someone out there that really cares about them. It shouldn't matter who or what you are. Everyone deserves love and care all the same. And if you are all that you have, then become something you love. Then love yourself. With the right deeds and responsibilities, people can do wonderful things. But for now, this is farewell. I'll see you all on the flip side. Vey. Phil, the eardrum shatterer. Strangely enough, I got my start as a programmer during my early days developing games on Roblox. Later on, I picked up music as a hobby and slowly taught myself more and more over time. Eventually, a friend reached out to me to tell me that my friend Simon had created a game that suddenly exploded in popularity. They wanted to know if I could make some music for it. After some thinking, I decided to take on the request, even though I wasn't sure how people would react to my work. I had never released any of my music out to a public before and was worried that my first track might be met with a little interest or even negative feedback. I never imagined that so many people would end up connecting with my music, which made me really happy. I loved communicating back and forth and bouncing music ideas when I was making other tracks for Grace. Looking back now, I am proud of what I created for Grace, and I'm genuinely glad I said yes to the opportunity. Now, in regards to everything that has happened recently, I want to be clear about my stance. I do not condone Simon or Finey using racial slurs. I do not condone Simon for using ableist slurs, nor do I condone Finey for using homophobic slurs. Racism and homophobia are unacceptable under any circumstance. Dehumanizing people of color, people who love differently, people who have disabilities, or people who identify differently is never acceptable. I also want to add that violating someone's privacy, doxing, or impersonating another person to confuse and further the controversy scope is unacceptable conduct. I too have had my fair share of mistakes. As I recount what I felt at the time, let me express that the impersonators I'm going to mention were a small minority of bad actors, and I understand that they do not represent the whole community. I understood that the community was in an outrage and was looking for ways to express their outrage. There is nothing wrong with expressing outrage, and I am in full support of this conduct. Expressing outrage is one of the strongest ways to let your creators know what you would that you do not like the way things are being run. I want to formally apologize for not immediately condemning Simon and Finey back in my statement to address impersonation. My mistake was a misconception that if I had included my statement to condemn Simon's or Finey's actions, it would have caused even further confusion within the community at the time. I should have realized that I needed to be clear about my stance on the matter because the community was already in a place of confusion and were urgently in need of answers from the Fractured Grace team at the time. I also want to formally apologize for coming to conclusions about what state the Grace community was in without a more in-depth look before making my statement. Another mistake I made was failing to see what the community and the public was expecting in a statement coming from me, and it is completely reasonable why the community and the public had their expectations set on the standard that a statement coming from me will be my official statement coming from me to address everything. My statement coming from me will be my official statement from me. Sorry, that was like a clusterfuck to read. This is because the state of the community and public urgently needed information and stances from staff. I formally apologize for that. So let it be known that my message to staff that my message and staff send-offs in the Grace document is my official statement on the matter. I have no financial ties with Simon since the very beginning of my involvement with Grace. If you've supported me before Grace had entered this controversy, you can be rest assured that your support for me was not shared with Simon. Supporting me will not support Simon. I will personally ensure it myself that it stays that way into the future. I will not have my music included in the game once Grace becomes open source. This is because I would like to hand off the torch for other aspiring music artists to give their own spin on Grace's music. I'm excited to hear what you all have in store. In respect to those who cherish my game and want to keep listening to them, I will be keeping my music related to Grace up on my Bandcamp page. I'll be working on and finishing the Grace unfinished tracks and releasing them on my Bandcamp page as well. You may download my music from Bandcamp and potentially support me there on my future projects as well. Thank you for reading my statement. Thank you for playing Grace and listening to my music in Grace. I love you all. Your DJ Snowman, Phil C. Kozel. Kozel has expressed his wishes to not include a farewell statement. Whether he has something to state, he cannot state in his own behest, separated from that of Grace. Understand that after the document is released, Grace is considered a discontinued project, and all staff are dismissed from their positions, no longer representing what Simon or Grace has to say. Please do not harass this former staff member. Mochi. It is fair to question why we even provided a section, and our answer is simple. If you wanted to say something to the community or to the Grace audience completely unfiltered, then this message should have been true of heart, serving as what the individual truly has to say without the constraints of social pressure. That being said, Mochi has expressed his wishes to not include a farewell statement. Whether he has something to state, he cannot state it on his own behest, separated from that of Grace. Understand that this is just a Okay, cool. Don't harass him. Scion has expressed her wishes to not include a farewell statement. It is fair to question why we even provided a section, and her answer is simple. If she wanted to say something to the community or to Grace, she's not providing a statement. Cool. Cupid has not expressed anything in regards to the 15 hour deadline provided by the send-off inquiry. If he has anything to say, he will say on his own behest, separated from that of Grace. Understand that this document is released. Please do not harass him. Jason also did not include anything. Pointy has not expressed anything. I'm not going to read it because it's just like me saying the same thing. Hextile has not included anything. Unmiser has not included anything. Darkheart, Elias, send-offs, and farewells. Oh, okay. This is actually a statement. Okay. Darkheart, arrows to the aces. General reflection. Due to my indirect involvement with this whole thing, I choose to go by a completely different alias, as I do not want to associate my name for my own safety. Though if you know me, you probably know who I am. I first got involved in Grace sometime in February 2025. I met Simon in a call while he was working on it, and he introduced it to me. From then on, I would get peaks of upcoming content while they worked on the game on their server. This was until Spread the Love, where we had to be more careful about what was shown as more Grace fans started joining. At first, we used completely private VCs, then moved elsewhere. During Soul Over Body, I became an official secret tester and contributed some things, though not a lot. And it was really funny seeing the community speculate on what I did contribute. Grace has definitely made a huge impact on my life for a short time I was around. Simon had personally helped me with a lot of some personal struggles. Some in regards to, I guess you can divine as less trio stuff. Gross thoughts I struggle with due to people in my past who've hurt me horribly, plus some other things like general personal doubt. Along with teaching me some things about modeling, an art form I always wanted to get into. Though let me be clear that I do not support what Simon and Finey said or did. They should not have been saying slurs they cannot reclaim, and I'm sorry to the people of color, primarily black and Asian, queer, and God damn it, sorry guys, been reading for a while, and neurodivergent communities for their actions, and I also apologize to those with religious trauma who feel disappointed in how Simon, Finey, and some of the other developers and moderators acted. I can see Simon's genuine regret with a lot of this. I believe a good friend realizes when their friend... Holy shit. I believe a good friend realizes when their friend makes a mistake and stays with them to help them improve and not to tear them down. I don't blame anyone who disassociates with Simon due to this. Your safety matters, and I entirely understand being uncomfortable with what Simon and Finn did. Please understand, the change takes time. It really does. I've been reflecting the past few days about my past for this response for the last 2 drafts. just sounded corporate and angry, which I was and still kind of am. Also, when making public statements, I don't generally try to be as objective as possible and not let my personal opinions get in the way. Some things that the community has done, not everyone, but some, has hurt to see and hear about. Doxing, genuine impersonation, xenophobia, misogyny, ableism, while criticizing Finn and Simon for similar, etc. And I'm glad the bigger voices have disavowed the hatred others have been spewing. I barely recognized the person I was before 2024, and before I was hurt by several people and forced to bottle up my emotions, which only led me to spiraling, which I was alone in my thoughts. I still personally feel the most comfortable when I'm around others. It is very hard for me to be alone. When I met Simon and some of the others from the friend group, after part of my own friend group had started growing up more, the emotions in a way just felt, and I felt more comfortable talking about my issues. Obviously not at all of them. I still have a lot of personal demons to face, but enough to where I can confidently say that I have been a lot more happy. Summary/conclusion. I hope the Grace community the best, even if I do have gripes with it. I do not support what Simon and Finn did, but I wish to help them grow in a similar way Simon has helped me. It will take a lot of time, and apologies won't remove the hurt, but I hope it does show a step into progress. Balmore, the father figure. Hello, Balmore. Hello, Balmore here. I suppose that will be my alias for this document. Seeing everyone else's heartfelt responses, I guess mine will be underwhelming. So I guess I will provide context for myself. I was present when Grace was made. I was present when it gained traction. Growing the community is now. However, my presence was only defined by my ability to simply watch my friends, acquaintances, and maybe some adversaries haven't figured that one out, began to raise the Grace community. I was satisfied with that. After all, I also had a fair share of throws to deal with. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Come the evening of March 30th, 2026, during my weekly joy scrolling of Uma Musume artwork, hilarious memes, and strange posts, I found a strange tweet. This quote retweet was a reaction meme to Finey's defense, but the most alarming thing about it was the name Grace was mentioned. By the way, I did very much enjoy the drama memes, while it did not help with the control of disinformation and misinformation. They were very much funny in my opinion, much to the chagrin of the Grace team. Okay. After a brief moment of staring at Arknight's artwork because of our PRT. What the fuck is this guy saying? Is that goated? It then clicked that that post was made about a very familiar game. After scrolling back, reading, and digesting all the information, I was immediately frustrated with Simon. I proceeded to then join the voice channel where they were all hanging, excluding Simon, and I immediately began to scold their handling of the situation. The most direct comparison I can make was that I acted like a father who just returned home to their child burning down the house. Frankly, I was unenthused, and their reactions were very much in my field of expectation. Grace response. From this moment forward, I would then be sorted into a group chat just as the Sazin allegations fell. Oh my gosh, my throat's dying. Once more, I became extremely unenthusiastic. Yeah, okay. As the evidence provided and the talking points were absent, not collaborated, or doctored. As I helped organize the team's response to the allegations, I noticed that there was no control, no communication, and no real commands issued to the staff. This became glaringly obvious as certain staff members simply began to respond and egg on the community's hopes, completely foregoing my gag order. Moreover, there were periods of self-loathing and laminating where the friend group would falter in their response. This would eventually snowball into an even more stressful scenario for Simon, albeit this time he has someone to lean on, of course. You know the general story from there. We respond, the audience, you receives, and we all move on. My friends, after reviewing my entire experience with the Grace team, it is pretty much fair to say they are a reflection of the community, and they are the same group, the same people who I met 7 years ago. They entered Grace as a friend group. They exit Grace as a business. This realization may not be apparent to them, but this response was arguably the most corporate response they had ever given, spouting their former idealist views, relaying on someone they didn't want to. Also, I think you should notice that only the developers and people who regard themselves with high importance actually provided a send-off. Well, it's like we're in need of not being harassed or something. Those who did not provide a response all had their fair fears. While I can provide a novel scolding my friends, I won't. I will give you my genuine opinion about them. They are simply people. Much specifically, Grace's staff. Developers and other individuals involved are teenagers or young adults. Naive, young, and dreaming teenagers/adults who chase their ideals, chase their loves, uphold their moral codes, and enter their own journey of development. Like me, like you, and like the future individual who stumbles upon this document, we are a naive and impressionable people. The entire predicament came about because we are people who simply chase goals. With that being said, I think it's time to conclude the statement. It was a beautiful day for me. I had a few nice walks. I played Smash with some friends and spoiled my partner. So how about we move away from this bustling internet and our need for constant stimulation. And please join me outside for a walk to clear our heads. I thank you to whoever fully reads this document or my statement. Thank you for sticking with Grace on its journey, signing off with fatherly indifference. Valmore. The last page. Okay, here we go. TLDR. We know the internet. Too long. Didn't read. TR, we know the internet. Too long. Didn't read. So we will compile every page. Well, guess what? I read it! Me! I read everything! Suck on that! Fucking, I don't know, the people who said I couldn't do it. To the teachers who said I can't read. Because I really can't. You heard me in this document and I struggled. But it's not over. Okay. Regarding Simon. Grace does not condone Simon's behavior and what he said. Grace provides a retrospective timeline to reflect on Grace's staff handling during the controversy that unfolded and how it affected Simon. Simon says that his initial response was created from the lack of cohesive organization from his staff and Grace. He apologizes for all he has said, done, and to those he has hurt. Regarding Finey, Grace provides its thoughts about Finey's response and does not condone Finey's actions. If a future response is created, it is made independently from the Grace team and will not reflect Grace's views and will not be a response supported by the Grace team. Grace wholeheartedly disassociates with her and will disassociate with her for the foreseeable future. Regarding Sazin, Grace completely rejects the allegations presented against Sazin, and Sazin apologizes for his past actions as a hormonal teenager. Furthermore, Sazin proves that he is not a pedophile by showing his ID to the public in review committee, and that those who composed the document against him had malicious intent and are fucking evil, mind you. My little comment in there. He was never a predator. The Sazin then is not the Sazin now. Regarding staff admit we suck. We also clarified drama regarding 2 staff members, and we chose to disavow both of them. There's probably a deeper situation, but that is not relevant because there is nothing we should publicly address. Public send-offs. The staff, who were able to recount their history and say one final goodbye to the Grace Project. After all, it helped them change for the better. Check them out for some cool goodbyes or silence. Remember, it is their journey that took them here. Final conclusion. Remember, there are lots of things going on the internet nowadays. Videos being uploaded, artificial intelligence running rampant, and people being accused of various allegations. This is typical of the hyperactive world of the internet. Because we are such digitally intertwined people, some of our social lives are intercilly bound? Okay, bound to it. This would guide us to make poor decisions, ignorant actions, and distort our lens of the world. So forth, we lose our empathetic ability as we fail to see the people behind the screen. That is all from Simon, his partner, Sazin, and staff. Everything that needed to be said has been said. Excuse me. People will be angered and unenthused or indifferent. Regardless, it is the internet. And we are still people. Therefore, once again, we are sorry for our actions, for the wait. We hope that our audience reads this and has a great day. And for those who blatantly impede, disavow, or spread misinformation, please grow as people. We accept our mistakes and attempt to change. You should too. Don't be limited by inflexibility and in elusive projections of the internet. Holy shit. Oh. Okay. That has been the entire document. Thank you to those who have stuck through the entire document. Wow. That was a lot. This gave me a lot of insight. Thank you. I will say this was a good response to all the Sazin shit, dude. That was crazy. Scion, you're a fucking racist. Yeah. My takeaway is Simon is working on being a better person, said racist shit. His partner also said homophobic racist shit, ableist shit. I hope you guys grow as better people. Sazin, yeah, bro, you were a minor. You didn't deserve any of that shit. That was just straight up evil. The people that were trying to expose you were just straight up pedos. Cyan, I hope you grow as a person. Get over your prejudice. Yeah. The racism doesn't defeat racism, buddy. Just gonna put that out there. But what do I know? I'm just a green man on the internet. But yeah, that'll do it. See ya.